Microsoft is now being sued by gamers, which is not what I expected to see in the wake of the FTC, the CMA, the UK, and lots of other regulators getting involved. The FTC making it clear that they are going to be suing, but now we have gamers in San Francisco filing suit, apparently. I'm going to try and break this down for you very quickly at the end. If you enjoy this style of content and want to be here for the live streams, make sure and hit subscribe and the bell button and check out all the sponsor links below. So we got a report here from Bloomberg about this. This is obviously sort of ongoing and developing, and we are seeing a continued interest from regulators and governing bodies into the Blizzard Activision deal. There's the Xbox element, there's the game element, there's Call of Duty, but there's also just the global market. If you really think about the nature of gaming and how it's sort of become so massive, it's influencing tech, it's influencing cloud, and there are concerns about that at many levels. Now, if you've been paying attention to this in the gaming world, everybody is largely focused on Call of Duty and really tried to make it about Call of Duty, where, hey, we're willing to make a 10-year commitment to Nintendo, and they have even gone on record as saying they'd be willing to give PlayStation 10 years as well for Call of Duty. And I think for the general public, those assurances have worked. Recent reports coming out of the UK, polling the public, and I think 75% or so of the public are seeing like, yeah, this deal is totally fine, because most of the public is probably just looking at the gaming element. They're not looking at elements beyond that, and they generally just think that, hey, this is good competition. But the more I look at this, the more I think I agree with people. There are concerning elements to it because of the size of Microsoft, and the gamers in San Francisco tend to agree with me. According to Bloomberg, the federal antitrust lawsuit was filed in San Francisco less than 2 weeks after the Federal Trade Commission sued to block the merger. And this suit actually names Microsoft and not Activision. And there's multiple layers to why they're doing this. This isn't just, hey, we're angry gamers, we think this is bad. They're looking at lots of different elements, employees, hiring, as well as some stuff with Activision that agrees with another suit somewhere else. I'll get to that in just a moment. So the complaint cites concerns that the merger would give Microsoft enough clout over multiple levels of the gaming industry to, quote, foreclose rivals, limit output, reduce consumer choice, raise prices, and further inhibit competition. Many people have looked at this and have simply said, listen, if they do this, it's going to give me more choices. It's going to be better for me as the consumer. I don't tend to agree with that. I tend to look at that and say, no, that this has the potential to limit your choices and limit the scope of things that are happening. You also have to consider the fact that once Microsoft owns all of this property, you may see smaller IPs and smaller studios simply get closed down for the sake of return of investment. Like limiting the scope of operating costs immediately could really help Microsoft start to procure that revenue back that they're hoping to earn off of all of the software they will suddenly own. I trust Microsoft when they say they want to sell these games everywhere, especially the bigger titles. If you look at King with mobile and Call of Duty's reach and the revenue generation that those properties create, but you have to consider the smaller dev companies and the smaller properties might be considered expendable. The suit also says that, quote, Microsoft already controls one of the industry's most popular and largest video game ecosystem. The proposed acquisition would give Microsoft an unrivaled position in the gaming industry, leaving it with the greatest number of must-have games and iconic franchises. I actually think this is one of the things Microsoft has pushed back on in an interesting way, claiming that Sony is successful by keeping Xbox small. This deal is fair because Sony has more exclusives, really sort of saying, hey, we're the underdog here. And I've seen some people sort of laugh at that, like Microsoft convincing the public that they're the underdog is kind of humorous, given their standing globally as a company. Now, they are basically the underdog in the gaming world, but that's the concern. They're not the underdog globally as a company, and if they suddenly own a massive portion of the gaming world, that could be concerning. They continue to defend the deal, by speaking out, and a spokesperson from Microsoft spoke with Bloomberg Law and said the deal will expand competition and create more opportunities for gamers and developers as we seek to bring more games to more people. So they continue to sort of take that angle here. They talk about the games. We're trying to bring more games to more people, but there's more layers to it than that. There's tech associated with the gaming world that isn't just about getting games in the hands of gamers on different platforms. The other part of the complaint is they claim that the planned merger would give Microsoft outsized power in the industry's overlapping product markets like console, PC, cloud-based, and mobile gaming. The tech giant would also allegedly gain an edge in markets covering top-tier AAA game subscription services and consoles themselves. So it's not just about the games and your access to the games. It's about cloud. It's about PC. It's about subscription services. There are multiple sort of layers to how games can be consumed, how they're made, and the future of gaming is looking to the cloud. It's looking to everything sort of existing in an ecosystem that's out there and online and not static or locked to a piece of hardware. Beyond just where the games live and how you have access to them, you also have to consider how these games are built. The merger allegedly combines two of the few large companies currently competing for workers that have specialized talent to make video games. This would reduce employee mobility and leverage at exactly the wrong time. That's from the Bloomberg article. They're basically saying, listen, right now, if you reduce employee mobility and leverage by doing this, that's dangerous. Think about the way that Microsoft has handled game development up to this time and sort of the 18-month contractual thing that came out about 343 and how they handled Halo Infinite. What if they suddenly have Blizzard Activision? And if you leave or your 18-month contract is up, can you go work for another company under the Microsoft ecosystem, under the Microsoft ownership? What if you sort of get blacklisted? What if you end up not getting along with your manager or whatever? Now, it's harder for you to get a job because you're making it sort of encased in one company. You're saying, oh no, everything's under Microsoft, and Microsoft would have a lot of sway there. I think we're already starting to see that with other companies that have been purchased by companies like Sony. You're already seeing shakeups and you're already seeing people fired and leave. And if they own that portion of the market, it would affect where employees could go. And it could potentially affect that turnover churn rate of everyone's on that 18-month contractual obligation to say, hey, all of our contractual workers can't exceed 18 months. Hopefully Microsoft decides to rethink that if this deal goes through, because that's an awful lot of companies that have to fold under that. We don't know if Bethesda is having to abide by that, but 343 has, and I'm sure many other companies underneath their ownership is abiding by that rule. And we've spoken to developers about the massive knowledge loss that comes from that. So this merger doesn't just touch your ability to buy and play Call of Duty. It would influence the efficiency of these developers, the hiring process, the mobility of employees. It would affect tech in the industry, and it could affect it in a bad way. No one's asserting that it will be bad. It's just that it could. The power that they would have to disrupt and harm the market would be massive if this acquisition goes through. And there's one final piece to this that has yet to come to light. We don't know if this is true. We don't know if this has been fully investigated, but there was a Swedish state-run pension fund that is holding Activision shares, and they are alleging this was engineered and colluded to distract from Activision's bad PR with Bobby Kotick and all the nasty stuff that was happening at the company. They are alleging that Microsoft and Activision colluded to do this to take the attention off the bad press. This suit in San Francisco that has been put forth by these gamers are echoing the same thing. It feels unrelated, but this has yet to be fully investigated. We don't know if this is true or not. If this comes to light and is true, it would likely be the death knell for this deal. It would not go through if the public found out that this was sort of a conspiracy or a colluded thing to say, hey, we're privately agreeing to do this because we want to sort of distract from our bad press. And that's certainly not what we want to see right now for a company this size, sort of doing that nasty backroom deal nonsense. We've seen this with other companies. We've seen private deals. We've seen companies use the gaming press to write puff pieces about their dirty laundry. Bungie did this with IGN. We saw them sort of brush that under the rug. There's still people that have not spoken out of fear of retaliation. We've seen this in other instances of companies sort of trying to push away the investigativeness of it, like, oh, what's going on at the company? And now we have another potential situation where a large company said, hey, let's sort of distract the public here with this deal. The public, according to the poll in the UK, the public thinks this is fine. What do you think? You can leave a comment below, or you can comment in my chat. Make sure you're here for the live streams by hitting subscribe and the bell button. And we are wearing an ugly sweater. This one's from Merchoid. We don't have a code or anything with them. They sent this as just like a Christmas present. They sent me 2 ugly Christmas sweaters. So I'm going to wear this one today, and then I'll wear one tomorrow, just as like a, hey, Merry Christmas, here's some sweaters, let people know where they can buy them. So I don't have a code or anything for you. We'll see how it goes. If they like, the relationship or whatever, maybe I'll do a little promo here in a minute, and I'll send them the link and say, hey, we think this could be a good ongoing relationship, because they also have really, really cool t-shirts, and we love to showcase t-shirts here. If you're watching the past broadcast or you are here live, I've switched my frames. These are the Inferno frames from Gamer Advantage. Make sure to use code LONO anytime you buy glasses from Gamer Advantage. We are back with them, and we really wanted to celebrate that, so try to end the year strong there, even if you just need like a pair of sunglasses or glasses to help you with looking at screens throughout the day. And they do have the clip-on sunglasses, this is one of the things I like, because I have prescription sunglasses that I now don't have to take with me everywhere. So that's all of those things that you can do. Don't forget, coffee orders, get those in. If you order any coffee tomorrow, it will likely get bumped to next week, because tomorrow is like the day before Christmas Eve. So we wouldn't be able to get those out. So today would be the last day to order coffee if you want to kind of get it in the mail before the holiday. And then obviously next week we'll keep selling it. So use the coffee command. Make sure you guys are smashing like, and make sure you're on live chat. Let's chop this one up. And Zen is topping us off, or starting us off, I should say. That's a big one right off the top rope, right from the turnbuckle. He wants to jump on the stream and say, let's gift 10 members. Ghostface, Rebels Pride, Tolomi, Tiffany, Shino, Indy, Jonathan Rivera, Blue Accent Gaming, and Luis Cardona, and Gaming Dilophosaurus. Tiffany, are you the one? I reference you sometimes, I think, with the coffee. I tell people, like, hey, there was somebody who's not really a coffee drinker, and they tried it out, and they were singing its praises. I think that was you. So anytime we hit 25 members on the day, I have to gift 5, and we keep doing that. Some days we hit 50 or more members. So if you want to add to that goal, feel free to become a member yourself or gift like Zen has done. Thank you so much. Wrestling terms? Oh, of course. Sometimes you just got to let them know. For the Christmas twerking lesson, Merry Christmas. Oh, thank you so much, Fat Steven Skull, with a $2 tip. Need some sponsors with anime merch. I think Merchoid has a lot of stuff. Like, look at how great this sweater is. Like, you got the symbol on the side, you got his helmet, you got Slave 1 right there, you got Christmas trees, you got his gun on the wrist. These are really, really nice. Wait till you see the one tomorrow. No, they are the consumers that will be directly affected. Now, these 10 guys are probably just messing around, but it's still a fun conversation. So, yeah, do you guys think that this case is a joke? Right? I got a Zelda sweater from them. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, here. Before we get into it, let's let people see it. There you go. So you guys think this case is a joke? Are these just people messing around? It didn't sound like it was written in a jokey way. Like, they're making an actual argument. They're not just saying, hey, we want some money. I felt like the parts that were quoted sounded pretty significant. Saying, like, listen, you're going to give them unrivaled position in the gaming industry. I mean, is that wrong? Are they wrong? Or is that true? Would Microsoft be in an unrivaled position? With Microsoft's size and funding suddenly owning that much property, I don't know. I feel like that's an accurate statement. Now, I don't know if this case is going to go anywhere, but making a federal case isn't cheap. Hoglog destroyed those guys yesterday. So why would they be doing this? What would the motivation be? Isn't it really expensive to file a federal suit? It's not cheap. I recognize the symbol in the middle of the sweater. Anyone know where it's from? Yeah, it's Boba Fett. This is a Boba Fett Christmas sweater. The one's on my sleeve and the one here. It's his it's in the Mandalorian too, is it not? Doesn't he wear it around his neck, or he gives it to the kid? He gives it to the child? Mandalorian symbology, but it first shows up on Boba Fett, on his stuff. Yo, a $5 tip from Newtonian. I'm about 8 minutes behind, but Microsoft being the underdog is 100% Microsoft's problem. Sony as a company is insanely smaller, punching above its weight like Nintendo. I'm an attorney. The Ninth Circuit is mostly considered a joke for their bad decisions. That's where you go to file a bad suit. Link where I can buy it? Yes, use the shirt command. It'll take you to the Merchoid Christmas sweater collection. I do not have a code. They just sent this as like a Christmas gift. Like, hey, promote our stuff. Like, we'll send you a free sweater. I reached out to them and said, hey, we work with shirt companies pretty often, and so they sent me this one, and then I have a Harry Potter one for tomorrow that you guys will really like. It isn't going anywhere. Some of their Twitter handles have been discovered, and it's legit just fanboy nonsense. So this level of fandom is insane to me. So they took the time to claim that it'll give Microsoft an unrivaled position in the gaming industry, leaving it the greatest number of must-have titles. They're talking about foreclosing rivals, limiting output, reducing consumer choice, raising prices, and further inhibit competition. And it's just all a joke? It could inadvertently start some crap now. They get overturned almost every time, says Richard. Microsoft's biggest failure was getting in the game industry. They know they can't compete against their rival, Sony. They're mediocre. I don't think so. Yo, what's good, Feed? I see you in the chat. Thanks for being here, Feed. So they're just Sony fanboys. Like, why on earth would you do that? So you would take the time to type this up, make substantive arguments, or at least make arguments that sound substantive on the surface, and it's all just because you're a fan. React to Hoglaw's video or watch his video at least. I don't want to do that. That's not what I'm doing today. 2007 to present, SCO's upheld 43 Ninth Circuit appeals. They've overturned 176. I mean, that's 43, though. I mean, I'm not saying this thing's going to be upheld, but that's 43. It ain't like they've overturned 200-something and only upheld 10. 43 is not... I mean, that's not great when 176 have been overturned, but still... What are they getting sued for? So what they're doing is there's a group of people in San Francisco that are seeking to block the deal or challenge the deal in court. That's about 20%. Right, so 20%'s not great, but 20% is still, I mean, if somebody told you there's a 20% chance that, you know, you get your leg chopped off if you go through on some ride, I don't think you would do it, right? Like 20% in certain circumstances would be scary enough to be like, I'm not going to do it. If you're watching and haven't smashed like, please do. Thank you, Goddess. Based off of previous actions from Microsoft, I just don't trust them. They said they don't want to take games away and proceeded to remove Bethesda games from PlayStation. Microsoft's issue has always been division management. Phil sucks at software management, which is the biggest issue they have. To me, Microsoft needs to just invest in making games internally. Yo, what's good, Kyle? And how are you? It's basically a PlayStation fan coalition against Xbox. It's the worst in the country, says Melee. I'm not saying they can't win, but if you're filing there, it's because you know you won't win elsewhere. UK CMA just polled British consumers and 75% said they approved the deal. When I saw that headline, Turk, I wasn't surprised at all. Microsoft has been on a full court press PR move. Do you know what I'm saying? Morning Creature. Oh, he's talking to Creature. They have been on a full court press PR, campaign. Full court press, man. Call of Duty this, 10 years there, 10 years there. Right? Let me double check. Did anybody order coffee yet? My wife will Oh, does it? Hey, somebody ordered some coffee. A bag of Frickmas to Mike on the mic. Let's print it right now. We'll take care of you, Mike on the mic. We have an odd number on the label. My wife likes my new hair stuff. I switched to Old Spice. I like it. It's holding. It's holding. Well, the other stuff smells like a salon. Yeah, she likes it. Yo, Kathy! Wishing you and your family a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Kathy just tipped $200 and said very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Minion, can you come say thank you, Merry Christmas on the mic? Come on. I bet you the boy will. $200. That is insane. That is so big. I got the microphone over there so one of the kids can say thank you. That is unbelievable. Come on. Why y'all being shy? Unbelievable. That's irritating. They're being shy. My kids are being shy.
Thank you. Merry Christmas.
There's Madam.
It's not the same from
It's
an
not
old
the
lady.
same. It's not the same from some old lady.
Doesn't work.
Doesn't work. It's too quiet, boy. Okay, you put it in. The label? Is it in there? Okay. Thank you so much, Kat. I greatly appreciate that. That is very, very generous. Merry Christmas to you, Kat. Thank you. Turned on the second mic and my kids went shy on me. Yeah. Boy. I got a problem with Microsoft. They know the fact they can't win against Sony and shown no games at the Game Awards. Meanwhile, they're promoting the crappy service Game Pass. Yo, Evan Monty with a brand new membership. I love seeing that. A new member is as exciting as a bunch of gifted members, man. I love when people jump in on their own. Welcome to Reforge Gaming. Be sure to get into our members-only Discord, and I hope you enjoy all the members-only content. We have some hilarious Christmas games for Friday night. So if you're a member, we want to celebrate Christmas with you. Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, my wife and I will be playing a bunch of hilarious Christmas games from Steam. You're not going to want to miss it, man. Some of them are ridiculous. So make sure you get your membership active. Make sure you are in the Discord so you do not miss that. You aren't wrong, FatsX. In the 90s, Sony used to buy studios for the sole purpose of shutting them down to eliminate competition. Anyone overlooking this while criticizing Xbox is insane. I am not actually criticizing Xbox. It's not about criticism. It isn't. It's not about criticism. It's about the power that they would have. Like, if you disliked when Sony did that in the 90s, let's say Sony did that. Yo, thank you, Gorthysis, for ordering 2 bags of Frickmas. Welcome on in. I don't even know if that's right. Is that true? What studios did Sony buy and shut down? Which ones? I don't even remember them doing that. Let's say that they did. If you disliked that and thought that was terrible, well, then why would you want Microsoft to be able to do that? Do you honestly think Microsoft's going to buy the litany of studios under Activision Blizzard? They're going to keep them all open? Do you honestly think they're going to do that? I'm not saying that they wouldn't have a right to do that. If Microsoft buys Blizzard Activision, they have every right to be like, bro, it's time to shut down some of these studios. Microsoft shut down what studio? No, he was saying Sony did it in the 90s. He was saying Sony bought a bunch of studios in the 90s with the sole intent of shutting them down to hurt competition or whatever. And we're asking for examples because I don't even know if that's true. The back of my hair is supposed to be up. Why is it not up? I've been trying it a little bit different this week. The studio is a little different than a whole entire publisher, plus Microsoft shuttered Lionhead. Bought one for the sole purpose of shutting it down. Name one. Yeah, Eugene wants one to be named. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never seen that mentioned in this dialogue about If you're just tuning in, Xbox is being sued by gamers in San Francisco. According to Hogue Law and others, it has no chance of going through. They went to a circuit court that's basically known for you go there if you know you have no chance of winning. And, you know, like 20% of the cases that hit this circuit go through and the other 80 do not. So this is apparently a bunch of fans, and they're basically saying this would give Microsoft unrivaled position in the market. So we're just discussing the deal, and as it continues to get combed over, 75% of the people polled in the UK are like, nah, this is totally fine. Terminal stupidity coming in big. We have such a generous community. That takes us to 21 members on the day. Gifting 10. Top G. Near is here all the time. So is Jojo, Ugly Nerd, Ronnie, Radagon, Michael, Benjamin, Dwayne, and Sean. You guys all got gifted members. Every 25, I have to gift 5, and that's in perpetuity. So that's like if you guys keep doing it, we've hit some days like 60-something members. So thank you very much. Masterclass says, hope you and the fam are well. Just moved houses. Haven't had internet for a month. Good to see you. Thanks for being here, Master. Lionhead had to be shut down because of the previous way it was ran. Peter was a horrible person. There's a gifted member from Lone Wolf taking us to 22. 22 members on the day. Thank you. That went to Robert Daniel Copes. Good morning, Professor Mal. How are you? If Sony were to buy, they would make us them. They would dispose of them. I'm not saying anything against Microsoft when I say that. Any company that buys something the size of Activision Blizzard is going to get rid of redundancies or studios or games or properties that are not profitable. Yo, Masterclass, welcome back. Congrats on the blue badge. Thanks for keeping your membership going. Member for 3 months. Nice. Yeah, dude. I appreciate it. Some of you guys can't afford a membership, and the generous people here that gift, they keep your membership streak going. Something you can do to guarantee you'll get membership whenever it happens, be here every day. We do multiple shows a day. Also, smash the like button. We got way too many people here for not having 200 likes, man. Smash that thumbs up. Creature, the reason why Bungie left in the first place, freedom in Rome. Craig Tone renewing his VIP Plus. That's a big one. Welcome back. Are we back connected? That's going to be a blip. A $10 tip from Mick D09. I can't gift on mobile at work, but here are funds for some eggnog and other Christmas goodies. My wife has made some eggnog, so that little blip might cause some, need to refresh. It might, but we're back. Second one already hit. That's those quick ones. Did I just shake the camera? No. That's those quick ones that happen. They're really, really weird. I don't really know exactly why that happens. Your audio is way off on my end. Just refresh. Thank you, Hellfire, for 3 months of membership. And Mick D09, again, thank you for the $10 tip. Yeah, my wife has some, she's got some eggnog for, yeah, I jacked up the camera when I bumped the desk. Yeah, it is not happy. It is not happy. Audio messed up. Refresh. Yeah, just refresh if audio's off. We'll reset the thing. There we go. And then let's wait, that's not right. Hang on. Let me bring us down a hair. There we go. And the member goal needs to come up. There we go. Yo, 6 months from Gorsisis, and that is a VIP membership. Welcome back, Gorsisis. And Terminal Stupidity says, yo, I ain't worried about no blips. I'm going to gift more members. 5 more members, taking us to 27. Divine Perspective, Do, Rex, John, Bodenheimer, Red, Andrew, Avery. You guys have all received a membership. That's 25. That's the first 5 I have to give, man. Keep it going. What a member train. If you guys are just tuning in, we're talking about Xbox being sued by gamers, and we got people in chat making claims like Sony has done this before. Sony has created this environment of we buying studios and shutting them down. We still haven't heard of any studios that Sony has done that with. So we're not really sure what exactly, where exactly that came from. I'm going to back up and see if it doesn't just calm down if I just stay here in the middle. There is my 5 as promised. I don't add my 5 to that because it gets confusing. So if that says 50, then I'll do 5 more. Scott D, Terraria, Robert Stander, Clickbait Gamer, and Entrery. Thank you guys so much for being here. You have been gifted a membership. I hope to see you guys tomorrow night for our Christmas show. My wife and I will be playing Christmas, really silly Christmas games, and we will also be having some drinks, having some eggnog. It'll be hilarious. So, Criminal Stupidity gifting to Divine Perspective. Now that's something I want to see. Yeah, that's hilarious. I see some people saying Microsoft would have too much power if the deal goes through, but Blizzard Activision's IP is that popular in comparison to Sony's IP and Nintendo's. I wonder if anyone has ever compared sales. Well, I mean, if you look at Diablo and you look at Call of Duty, I do think those are two absolutely massive titles. Now you have to actually branch out from that. You know, you have to like branch out and look at some of the other things that they own and they enjoy. World of Warcraft. You also have to consider King Mobile and what they bring to the table. So Blizzard has the biggest third-party IPs in the world. Right, that's what you have to consider. Like, if Blizzard Activision has the biggest third-party games in the world, then that has to be considered. That has to be considered, that if they have the biggest third parties, they would suddenly not be third-party titles anymore. They'd be first-party. They'd be first-party Microsoft. What's a membership? For $5 a month, you get a badge next to your name, you get emotes to use in my chat, and you get access to members-only streams. So there are streams you cannot see unless you're a paid member. Every day when I take my lunch break, I hang out with the members. Tuesdays, we look at trailers. Mondays, we look at mean comments. Today is, what do we call today? Throwdown Thursday. I check out some games on Thursdays. And then Friday nights, I play games and hang out with my wife. And it is a really, really good time. We're going to zoom it in a little bit more, see if that helps it. It's driving me absolutely nuts. Wondering whether everything in Blizzard Launcher gets integrated into the Xbox Launcher. Well, it would suddenly be their property, so I don't see why not. Why would they not suddenly just put everything under their roof? Hey, it's ours now. That's our launcher, right? You just got a Lono hug? Yeah, I gave you a Lono hug with my Boba Fett Merry Christmas ugly sweater. Yo, Solemn with 5 gifted members. Today is just popping off, taking us to 32 members on the day. Thank you so much. I appreciate that very, very much, man. That is very kind. Thank you to everybody contributing to that number there in the corner. We greatly appreciate it. I'm going to bump that up a little bit as well and pull that out just a touch. If you guys are getting members, man, I hope you enjoy all the extra content for a month. I hope you get into our members-only Discord. Digic, Johan Coetzee, Arth, Thavi, and Julian, you guys all have been gifted a member. That's 32 for the day. Merry Frickmas, everybody. Merry Frickmas. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the day. And another order of coffee, 2 bags of Frickmas to somebody. I don't want to say Just Blaze. Just Blaze. That's just silly. Riot literally just gave them all champions and goodies with that announcement at the Game Awards. Sorry, they've also shuttered Cambridge Studios. Oh, so you're listing studios that they've shut down. Sony shuttered Evolution and Cambridge Studios. Okay, see, here's the problem, though. We're not talking about who's worse at shuttering studios. We're saying, let me just say, let's just accept your premise, right? Let me just accept your premise that Sony's shutting down studios, all right? I accept your premise. They're doing that. I think you're also sort of asserting that that's bad. Would you want Microsoft to suddenly be able to do that with the third largest, not the third largest, with the publisher who owns the largest third-party games in the world? Would you, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying Microsoft's worse at shutting down studios than Sony. I'm saying, do we want them to be able to do that? They shut down studios that are not successful. They shut down studios that were not successful. Cambridge is now part of Guerrilla, says Eugene. He keeps citing devs that were rolled into internal teams. Right, and I wouldn't be surprised if Microsoft does that with Blizzard Activision. That would almost assuredly happen. Guys, spam, if you just got your membership, let's spam some Lono Dope thumbs up. Let's spam some Lono Dope thumbs up. There's 385 people here, and the thumbs ups are lacking. Let's spam chat. Let's wake some people up. 2 months of membership from Bulls for Life. This whole back and forth bit is just blah. If PlayStation couldn't do it, then Microsoft can't do it. Well, at the same time, okay, so here's the thing. There's nothing inherently wrong with shutting down a studio or rolling a studio into another. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? No one's saying that that's a wrong thing. Nobody's saying that Microsoft's bad and they do it way more than Sony. Nobody's saying that. What I'm saying is, if you think they're suddenly going to own Blizzard Activision and they're not going to do that immediately, then you're kidding yourself. You see what I'm saying? There's a big difference between saying, here's a studio that's underperforming, we're going to shut it down, or we're going to roll it in and absorb it to this other studio. There are people that lose their jobs when that happens, and that's sad. But they will almost assuredly try to get rid of redundancy. They will get rid of companies that aren't performing well or IPs that don't promise good ROI, because that's a quick way to increase their profitability in the situation. Risic gifting, I got to turn the alerts off for this one. Risic gifting 20 members, taking us to 52. 52 on the day. I got to do it again. That's a big reach, a really big reach. What's a big reach? You think it's a big reach that if Microsoft suddenly owns Blizzard Activision, they won't immediately start shuttering studios, consolidating studios, getting rid of redundancy? Have you ever watched a merger or a buyout before, ever in the history of mergers and buyouts? That's one of the first things they're going to do. I'm not saying that's evil and wrong. I'm saying that's what this deal will result in. There will be consolidation. There will be the removal of redundancies. It will happen. A bunch of people just got memberships. Steel City King, oh, he's here all the time. Mr. Skill, RR, Bandano Commando, The Glass Guy, Susan Andrews, Josh Eric, King Ghidorah, Snow Monarch, Samuel Bovard, John Irochi, DJ Horatio, Amino, Sharky, Areka, Sean O'Brien, I've seen you here quite a bit recently, Josh Hendricks, Engo, Steven, and Ratchet. All right, I'm a man of my word. I got to give 5 every 25, so the next time I have to do this is at 75. We just hit 50 members for the day. Listen, a lot of you might be getting members, and maybe you've never really been here that much. Maybe this is your first or second stream here, but you've been here enough to get a gifted member. Make sure you're subscribed with the bell button. Make sure you're checking your homepage and subfeed. We do talk shows like this Monday through Friday. Anybody accusing me of being a Sony fanboy, I try absolutely to grant both sides a lot to the table. I try to represent both sides. So in this situation, we're looking at what this would do to the market. They are being sued by gamers in San Francisco. So Xbox sued by gamers is an accurate headline. It is happening. Now we're hearing that it's a joke. It's a bunch of fans. They went to a circuit of court where they're going there knowing they're not going to win. There you go. 6 Foot Mouse, Dan the Toon Man, Omar, David, Colin Smith, and Nick Robertson. You guys all got memberships. Welcome to Reforge Gaming. Loving all the interaction, subs, etc. going on today. Missed hanging out here. Well, thanks for coming back, Madster. If you guys have never been here before, I hope you're enjoying the conversation and the banter. Eugene says, Sony buys devs so they can shut them down. Proceeds to list devs that were closed because of completely different reasons. Right, that's what I'm saying. Like, the intricacies of all those decisions, you can't be like, Sony intentionally bought devs to shut them down. You know what I'm saying? 9th is the second highest, but overturn rates are high anyway. Oh, so they have a high rate of overturn. That's what somebody was saying this morning. They were saying, yeah, There's like 20% that actually go through over there, is what somebody was saying in chat this morning. I think AM Melee was the one saying it. As frivolous as a lawsuit Sony faced from UK gamers ended up being a firm looking for a buck. Right, that was also a frivolous suit. Microsoft will not shut down studios because they need more studios and they will buy more. Yeah, but Emilio, they're buying a publisher, homie. So you think right now, every studio, every department, every single piece of Activision Blizzard you think is safe if they're suddenly under the Microsoft ownership. There's no redundancies. There's no devs that have IPs that may be a little bit too small. Think about it like this. Let's say you buy a warehouse, and this warehouse makes green, blue, and red trinkets and widgets. Green, blue, and red. And let's say that red amounts for, 5% of your profit, but the production cost is high. Like the margins are a little bit more razor thin. It costs a lot to get the red dye. It costs a lot to pay the workers to make the red widgets because they're specialized and they're trained. And anytime somebody quits, you got to bring somebody else in and train them. So you buy that warehouse and you look at that 5% of your profit margin and you look at operating costs and you're like, if we shut down that aspect, right? That red widget production line, we lay off all those people, we could potentially immediately raise the valuation of the company because now our production costs just went way down and we can make it up in these other areas. We can divert funds to the blue and the green widgets and make up that 5%. Do you see what I'm saying? They could look at companies, IPs, developers, and say, keeping you open, you're not generating enough revenue for the production costs to keep you open. We can make this deal immediately more valuable to us by shuttering you, because now operating costs are going down. And if you shrink operating costs, you have the potential to immediately increase profit margins if you do it in the correct way. Also, redundancies. Anytime a company is bought, my dad went through multiple buyouts. You know what happens when they go through a buyout? Every single department, every single person has to justify their existence. Why are you here? What do you do? Where'd you get that sweater? Merchoid sent this to me. I have another great one tomorrow. If you guys like this sweater, use the shirt command. Sadly, I don't have a code to give you a discount. They just sent this as a nice gift. So, hey, we'll send you a gift. Promote it, for a day or two on the stream. So maybe they'll see an uptick in their sweaters selling today, and I'll say, hey, that was me. I was the one promoting your stuff. Division, department, deposition audits. Are we really naming every company that Sony has closed because Lono is saying Microsoft will close studios after the merger? Yeah, that's the rabbit trail we're going down, Corey. I'm not saying it's evil and bad. I'm saying you have to see the power and the strength they will have the minute they own all this property, the minute they own all these studios. It's not going to be as simple as, they're benevolent and kind and they're going to keep everything running and open. No, it will result in stuff going away. And that's just them. The other thing that the suit alleged, which I didn't actually consider this, is when you centralize that many studios under one company, it makes it harder for those employees to have mobility. Especially consider the 18-month contract policy that Microsoft has in place. Sony doing it is fine, though. I'm not assigning... See, you're struggling to listen. I'm going to try to help you. I didn't say that it was fine for Sony to do it, and I didn't say it was wrong for Microsoft to do it. You're entering a tribalistic, dichotomous form of language into the discussion that I'm not using, so try to keep up. I didn't say it was right or wrong. I didn't say it was good or bad. I said they're going to do, right? They're going to do that. That's the power they're going to have. It's not about the rightness or the wrongness of it. It's about you better be ready for the power you're willing to hand Microsoft. Because the UK just polled their public, and it's got a 75% approval rating. Do you want to know why? Because Microsoft has been on a PR kick. Microsoft's been on a PR kick. Call of Duty, man, 10 years promised to Nintendo. We'll give 10 years to Sony. You can get Call of Duty anywhere. Oh, okay, so what's the public say? That's fine with me. It's not going to hurt me. It's not going to disrupt me. But it could. Do you think it's right or wrong? I think this level of consolidation is far too risky to allow it to go through. I think it's far too risky. This level of consolidation, with the way that the global tech market works, with the globalization of how we interact with technology and video games, I think giving Microsoft this much consolidative power, I think is too risky to allow it to go through. Risky for who? Everyone. Anybody who works at a studio, anybody who makes a widget for Call of Duty, anybody who wants to buy video games. It's risky for everybody. There's nobody that's not attached to this. There are people right now that count on the revenue from video games to pay for taxes, to keep departments running, to keep, I don't know, programs funded. And you disrupt that market, you're talking about trillions of dollars in reverberative effect. It's not just going to be like, oh, well, they own them now. It could potentially cause lots of harm to lots of things. Yo! East Coast Overlord gifting 5 members. This man's always tipping through Super Chat, and he decided to gift 5 members, taking us to 57. If you guys flip that 57 and make it a 75, I got to gift 5 more. Super cool jumper. Pity it's out of stock. Yeah, I tried to get some Grogu stuff, but I went for Boba Fett instead. All the Grogu stuff was sold out. Denver Walker, Harley Gardner, Maddie Kelly, Renog, and Mark Masick. You guys all got gifted memberships. I would love to see you. You're invited. If you are one of the lucky 50-something people today to get a membership, you're invited into our members-only Discord. You're invited into our members-only content. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, my wife and I playing Christmas games. She'll be drinking eggnog. I don't like it very much, but she liked it. So she'll be having eggnog with a bit of bourbon in it. I'll be having some beers. It will be hilarious. The games we found are hysterical. So many of y'all don't live through or pay attention to IBM or Internet Explorer, and it shows. Sweater's growing on me. Thank you. I've got another one for tomorrow. Maybe I'll have a link or code for you tomorrow. I'll see if I can't convince them, like after one day, like, hey, come on, y'all. Let's work together. What about Activision employees that suffered under previous ownership? No one talks about them. Also, Activision will break down and disappear due to stock loss. Well, Doom, there is a suit in the, Swedish? I believe it was a Swedish group, pension fund. A Swedish state-run pension fund is holding Activision shares. They are accusing the companies of engineering an underpriced merger to exploit Activision's workplace scandals to protect it. Like, they're basically saying, y'all colluded here. You engineered an underpriced merger. And they're saying that needs to be investigated. And I'll be interested to see if it is. I think it needs to be investigated. I think that right there is one of the aspects of this that needs to be looked at. Because if there's one thing I know, in my experience with Twitter and the Purple Platform and Bungie, I have a disdain for backroom deals and cloak and dagger. I have a disdain for it. I want people drug into the light, and they will in time. Trust. Some of them are already getting the boot. But in this scenario, I want to know, did that happen? Did it? The sweater is fire. Just bought one so I could wear it next Christmas. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yo, good morning, Johnny. How are you? It's going to be nice when Microsoft closes this deal. So many families will benefit. What do you mean? Why would families benefit from that? What families benefit from a buyout? My dad's company got bought out 2 different times, and both times tons of people got laid off. Where do you see buyouts leading to families benefiting? What are you talking about? In what universe is that just an automatic one-to-one connection? And I think he's right. Remember that high-up person on Microsoft started working at Activision. Why would he leave Microsoft to go work for a smaller company, and then all the problems started? Oh, man, people were getting out, bro. This guy got caught. That's the difference between him and the other high-level executives. You're fooling yourself. Yeah. My friend who worked for Vicarious Vision said that they just got broken up shortly after the merger. The devs of VV pretty much all quit. There's another example. Right there is another example. VV. We all loved VV, man. We all loved VV. And look what happened. Merger happens, everybody gets broken up, and then lots of people end up quitting. Or who knows, I wouldn't surprise me if some of them were laid off. If you guys are just tuning in, we are having an absolute banner day here on the channel. We cover lots of gaming news. I Am Safe for Work. It's basically a video game podcast that you can throw on in the background of your day, especially if you have YouTube Premium. You can minimize apps. You can minimize the app on your phone if you have that. And we're having a huge day. 57 members, tons of gifted members. Keep it here. Make sure you're smashing like. If you subscribe, it's totally free to subscribe. If you hit subscribe, you can talk in my chat. We'd love to hear from you. Multiple shows a day. I've got one this afternoon about Diablo 4. I think that's going to be a very, very fun debate about their looting system and what it might do to the grind. Should be a really, really good time. Hope the streams have gone well. Yo, what's good, RT Mayday? Yeah, man, it's been phenomenal. We've got sponsors reaching out. You know, every other day, Raid Shadow Legends is sending me an email. I know I'm doing something right if they're reaching out. A $2 tip from East Coast Overlord. Merry Christmas, Lono. Let's get to 75 gifted. East Coast Overlord's calling on the audience, and he's going to kick it off. He's not just saying it, he's doing it. 67. Another 10 gifted members. 510 Live, J Mac, Outsanity, Deity of Yin, Reaper, Nakis B, James Bullen, Pulse Reflections here all the time, Nightmen, and William Harper. Y'all got gifted memberships. The 67 people that got a membership down here in the corner, you 67 people, man, get in our Discord. Get involved. You're invited. You're now a member. For the next month, you get into all of the good stuff. Like a stream tomorrow night with my wife for Christmas. One this afternoon where I test out some games. Only members get to see that stuff. Space Dovahkeen with a $5 tip. Having the approval of the biggest two unions on the nation doesn't ring a bell for you. Microsoft is basically the pioneer publisher with unions. I'm not sure what point you're drawing, Space Dovahkeen. This is not about union approval. This is about Jason F. Thanks for ordering. I saw your spammed emotes. Jason ordering some Reforge roast. We have our own coffee, by the way. People are going crazy. They're making me talk about this stuff. I don't want to disrupt the show too much and talk about this stuff. But we have our own coffee. If you're seeing this thing sitting there next to me, this is ours. This is not a sponsor. Now, this is a limited edition white bag. They were supposed to be black. So I sign every bag. So get yourself some. If you've never tried coffee with balanced acidity, you should try our coffee. Light roast, a dark roast, and a holiday blend. You can do a triple threat, get all three, and save some money. You've really got to try it. If you're a coffee drinker and you're like, balanced acidity, what's that? Try our coffee. Try Reforge Roast, the light roast and the dark roast. I'm telling you, people that start it buy this, they don't get other coffee after that. Yo! 10 gifted members from Rissick giving us the nice holy number of 77. 77 members. DJ Matty, Paul, Nile, Blind Spruce, Tur, Shaffa, 74, Era Hot, TJ Johnson, Zero, Dark Angel, Invader, Conj, and Devin Knight. You guys all got gifted members. And new Ford Order jumping back in as a member. Here, let's turn the alerts back on. I'm a man of my word. Every 25, I have to give 5. That's now 70. We've passed 75. We're at 77. Y'all are going crazy. What a time, what a topic. Thanks, people, for keeping it civil. I know everybody has different perspectives on this. We welcome different perspectives. We've not banned anybody this morning for disagreeing with me or seeing this from a different perspective. So the people coming in and thinking this is a good thing or they want it to go through, I welcome your disagreement. It makes for great conversation. If a family games, money saved is only a good thing. No, I know mine has benefited already. All right, Burke, let's look at your claim, all right? Let's look at your claim. Joe Vivian, Joe's here all the time. Gray Fox, Dondre Parker, Megadeth Mayhem's here all the time, and I Master Spy. You guys all got gifted members. I want to take what you're saying, X Burke. So you are looking at this, in my opinion, far too unidimensionally. Well, saving money is good, therefore, this will save me money. Number one, at one level, that's too presumptive. This deal does not automatically mean that you get to save money. It could lead to you spending more money. With more control over the market, they could drive prices up. They could limit the reach of certain properties, then they own it, then you got to pay more to get in. I'm not saying they're going to do that. I'm saying you can't presume and assume this automatically leads to you saving money. Let's look at another layer of this. Just because you're saving money doesn't mean it's good for the industry, which can result in you getting lower quality products. Look at the items and things that you buy at Walmart. No disrespect to people that shop at Walmart. That's maybe the best you can afford. But you know, as well as I know, the quality of the products you're buying at Walmart, the value has been driven down. Right? When you drive prices down, value tends to go with it. So sure, maybe it saves you money in the short term, but what if the quality of the games you're getting 5 and 10 years from now? What if their quality has gone down? Do you see what I'm saying? If you drive price down, that does not automatically follow that that's a benefit to you. That's too unidimensional. Saving money is not a universal good. It can be a good, but it can also lead to bad things. What if? No, I'm not doing what if. Space Dovahkiin, I am showing him that his premise is built on presumptions that may not come true. You could flip it around, Space Dovahkiin, and he's playing the what-if game as well. Well, what if the deal goes through and Microsoft makes everything cheaper and more affordable and more stuff's on Game Pass? That's a what-if. You can't presume that that's going to go through. You can't. See, what I'm doing is I'm getting at the heart of the premise. The premise being, this is good for consumers. Why? Well, I'm presuming it will lead to me saving money, and I'm presuming that is a universal good. Okay? You haven't substantiated that you will automatically save money if this deal goes through. That's not been substantiated. You're presuming it will lead to that. You're also presuming that's good for the market. Let's just crap on Game Pass then while we're at it. Get rid of Netflix, get rid of Amazon. Well, Xberg, you are actually putting your finger on something, on the pulse of a problem in the market right now that has not yet sorted itself out. Did you watch what happened to Netflix? The subscription model is not tenable in that context of spending lots of money for first-party television shows. Look at Netflix as an example of upset consumers because, man, I love this show, but at the end of season 2, what do? Canceled. They canceled the show. Why? It no longer benefits Netflix. It no longer impacts subscription funnel. You're right there. You're right there to why this could be so bad. This company that's all about subscription model and throwing games on Game Pass suddenly owning one of the largest publishers in the world. And you're like, well, what's the big deal? Should we close down Netflix? Look at what Netflix does with their property. Seriously. Look, as a cautionary tale, look at what Netflix does to their property. Look how angry people have been time and time again. Bro, I love that show. They canceled it. Why? Because it doesn't give them more subscribers. That's the risk with Microsoft's model. Now, Microsoft has come out and said that only 15% of their annual revenue will come from Game Pass. So they're trying to downplay Game Pass's importance. Yeah, Disney's raising prices on their subscriptions. Netflix raised their prices. Netflix is introducing a low fee. Thank you, Space Dovahkiin, for the $2 tip. This is basically only bad for PlayStation. And Burke, Wheezy's bringing something into the equation that you're not considering. Oh, it's going to save me money. Is it? All subscription models are proving themselves to be untenable at one level and raising their prices over time. So don't you think once Microsoft has a stranglehold on so much property that in order to recoup some of that cost, they'll raise prices on their subscription model, which in turn would cost you more money than you're spending right now? Sony raised their prices too, don't forget that. Right. I'm not singling out a company and saying raising prices is bad. I'm saying subscription models tend to raise their prices once they get their saturation. Quit making it Sony versus Microsoft. When you're doing that, you're in the gutter of the conversation. I'm not down there in the muck and the mire of the Neanderthalic stupid Xbox versus Sony. I'm not doing that. You're doing that. Get out of the gutter. Raise your consciousness above the Sony and Xbox are enemies. Shh. They're not. That's not what we're talking about. Quit trying to drag the conversation into the gutter. That's not what this is about. It's about the market and your relationship to it and what this could do. Citing Netflix is a great example. Plenty of people canceled their Netflix because they got tired of watching a show and seeing it canceled, or prices going up, or introducing advertisements. Hang on. I'm trying to track with Burke here. Burke says, bring it on. A family Game Pass plan would be awesome. Oh, that's already rolling out. This buyout's a lose-lose for Activision Blizzard games, says Phantom Phoenix. Without it, games quality is dropping. With it, Microsoft ruins the games like all first-party games. Which will be the next to go? Witcher? What do you mean? Witcher's owned by CD Projekt Red. CD Projekt Red's not up for buy, and CD Projekt Red seems to be expanding, and they've got financial support from somewhere because they're expanding, and they're moving all their product to Unreal. Let Tencent or Embracer buy Activision Blizzard. People will wish Microsoft got them. No one is arguing. Okay, hang on a minute. No one is arguing that Microsoft shouldn't be able to buy it because Microsoft bad. That's nobody's argument. Everyone's argument is that's too much control of the market. Like I said, somebody asked me my opinion on this moments ago. What was my answer? I said, this level of consolidation is too risky. I don't think it should go through. I didn't say Microsoft bad. You guys keep injecting that into the argument. No one's saying that. No one is saying Microsoft bad. Now, there are people in chat saying, Microsoft, and you could probably make a case for the fact that, Microsoft-owned property isn't doing very well. Microsoft doesn't have this grand history of buying property and buying studios and then cranking out hits. They're losing. Their track record of first-party hits is pretty bad right now. So, at one level, yeah, I kind of don't want them to own all this property as a gamer. I'm like, y'all aren't really proving yourself just yet. Let's see what Redfall and Starfield do. And I got news for you. I don't think it's going to be tectonic and world-shattering. I don't think it will. They're not exactly batting... Their batting average ain't exactly good right now. That's PlayStation propaganda. It is? How is it PlayStation propaganda? Trot out for me right now their first-party homers. Where are their first-party home runs in the last 10 years? Where are they? How is that PlayStation propaganda? I wish I could take your badge and give it to somebody else. Imagine watching my content and my research and my due diligence and the effort that I put in and accusing me of PlayStation propaganda. Imagine doing that in my chat while wearing my badge next to your freaking name. Why do I feel that most people who want everything cheaper or free are the same dudes who will list a used game on Facebook and for 5% less than MSRP and then get ticked that nobody wants to buy it? Because it's the only argument PlayStation can win? What do you mean it's the only argument PlayStation can win? As a gamer, just seriously, you're still down in the gutter of tribalism. Get out of the mud. No one's wrestling with you. You're looking like a fool. You're wrestling with your shadow. No one is making it about Sony versus PlayStation. As a gamer, I own an Xbox Series X, and I'm looking at the complete and utter lack of titles, the complete and utter lack of games winning awards. The only games that have been even nominated for awards recently that you could tuck under their belt and claim oh, that was them, are games that were bought after they were in development, not before. So as a gamer, I'm like, I don't know if I want Microsoft to own all this property. They're not doing a great job with the property they own now. How many bad Halos do we have to get before we realize that there might be something in the water? Yo, $20 from East Coast Overlord. This isn't about Sony. Vicarious Visions is effectively gone. Bungie had to spend a ton of money to keep their people from quitting after Sony. What's keeping people working at Activision? This could mean game quality drops. That's exactly right. Consolidation and buyout is not automatically better for you, the consumer, or the market, or the employees. It's not. There's plenty of evidence to the contrary. A $5 tip from Gorthisis. Love the discussion. Made my walking around shopping way more enjoyable. Time to go home and listen to you while I make a bunch of cookies. Merry Frickmas. Yo, thank you so much, Gorthisis. Hope you're having a good one. My man Lewis with 9 months, and he's on a member plus. Yo, what's good, Lono? How are you, Lewis? Welcome back. Phil's plan is not complete, says Burke. Why not give them one more year to prove themselves? A ton has gone into the restructuring of Xbox, and it may be too early. Here's the deal. I'll give you 2023. I'll do it. Because my confidence isn't that high. Man. How confident are you in Redfall and Starfield? How confident are you? I'm not. They both got delayed. They're both mired in oddities. Redfall's decisions with co-op. What? Who made those decisions? Starfield's performance problems in their own gameplay debut. You're very confident in Starfield? I'm not. I want to play it. I'm excited. I loved what Todd Howard had to say about their dialogue trees. I'm not confident in Redfall. I'm extremely confident in Starfield. Right. So is that going to be enough? Oh, they have. Well, let's say they have one good game come out. Oh, and allow me to retort. Let's say Starfield's great. Let's say Starfield is hailed as the return of Bethesda. Let's say Starfield is hailed as Skyrim in space. They did it. It gets 8s and 9s out of 10. Do you want to know why I don't find that all that compelling? Because Starfield was mostly done with production when they were purchased. They were pretty far into production when they were purchased. So you get that. Let's say Redfall struggles, because I think Redfall is going to frustrate people. I do. Games that build their co-op in the way that Redfall's has been built, I think Redfall's going to struggle to win people over, because they're going to come at that game expecting the essential co-op experience of drop-in, drop-out progress, like in like a game like Borderlands, and it's going to feel like a huge step back. So I think Redfall is going to be problematic, but I think Starfield could be good. I'm not super confident in it because of the delay. I'm not super confident because of the performance issues. I'm certainly not confident in it because of the Series S. I'm glad you said it and not me. Oh, what? Yeah, do we really get to make Starfield a feather in Microsoft's cap? They bought him after most of the game was built. I'm not bashing Microsoft. I'm saying right now, if you're trying, I want you to imagine that you're making a case. Imagine that you're going up to a podium and you get all your note cards ready. You're going to make a compelling case that Microsoft does a great job with their first party titles. Okay? I want you to try to make that case. What games are you going to cite? And your answer seems to be, well, let's give them next year. I'm sorry, what? So let's let them buy Blizzard Activision. Right now, their track record with their first-party titles is pretty bad. But let's just wait and see what they do next year with titles that they bought mid-production. Halo Infinite got a 9 out of 10. Bro. Halo Infinite got a 9 out of 10. That's how many nominations did it get? That's a bruh moment. Watts, you know I love you. We go way back. But if you're trying If you're trying to make a case for Microsoft's first-party titles and you want to walk Halo Infinite out, homie, that's like saying, our sports team's ready to go. We have a really strong showing. Here's our MVP, and like he wheels out, and he's like, my ankle's broke. That was sarcasm. Okay, well, Watts, can we get Watts a membership so he can use Lono Kappa? You need a membership. Grounded? Okay, I'll give you Grounded, but again, when was Grounded purchased? Was Grounded already in early access and then got scooped up? Grounded is a good example of that's an ID at software. That's an ID game, isn't it? ID at Xbox. ID at Xbox is that where Grounded is housed? You will never hear me besmirch Microsoft's efforts with indies ever. They've actually, I think that's one of their stronger fronts that gets ignored. Grounded's totally new since Xbox. Seriously, Forza? Yeah, I'll give you Forza. Yeah, I'll give you Forza. Obsidian is Grounded. Oh, they're not. Are they indie? Obsidian's pretty big, aren't they? Grounded is by Obsidian. Okay. I actually think one of the things that Microsoft doesn't get credit for is ID at Xbox. I think a lot of their efforts with independence has gone very well with indie studios. I think they've got some bangers under ID. I do. It's not ID, it's ID. Like it, but with a D. It at Xbox? That's not true. It's ID at Xbox. I've never heard somebody say id at Xbox. I've never heard anybody say that. I literally interviewed the guy main stage at E3. And we said ID at Xbox. I literally sat down, did a pre-interview with the guy, main stage E3. I was lead host for the interview. It's ID at Xbox, bro. Andrew Mandrew! Gifting 5 memberships. ID is for indie developers. Yeah. You're thinking of id Software. I still call id Software ID Software. Yo, Family, Justice P, Devious Act, MK Ultima, Just in Time. Good to see you, Just in Time. And Moped Mike. Those are some old school names right there. Let's go back to the scene so I can increase that by 5. That takes us to 82. If we hit 100 members, I got to give 5 more. Every 25, I have to give 5. You guys are blowing it out of the water today. Thank you, Andrew Mandrew. And, I missed a tip. Hang on. East Coast Overlord with a $5 tip. Speaking of indies, how much do you want to bet Microsoft is banging at Supergiant's door? Yeah, maybe. Was Starfield delayed again? I think it will be. Yes, I think Starfield's late next year, not early this year. We were promised first half of 2023. I believe Starfield will land probably fourth quarter next year. That's not hate. That's just a prediction. I don't think it's coming. Microsoft currently has more studios than Sony. Let that sink in, says Eugene. Okay. Listen to what Eugene is saying and consider. Consider my thought experiment, okay? Pentiment was also only completed because of Xbox. Right, like I said, I'll never take away from what Microsoft has done with indies. I actually really like ID at Xbox. I fought for lead host on that interview because I love indies and I wanted to talk to the guy. I don't know if you can find that anywhere. That was a lifetime ago. That was 2019. Starfield Spring, mega doubts. No. I think we're going to get all the way to February. We're not going to hear a peep about it. They're going to go all Redfall promotion. You won't hear anything about Starfield. You'll start hearing about Starfield in the summer. You'll start hearing about them in the summer. Why do people keep blaming Sony for Sega dying after Dreamcast when it's well known Sega killed himself? I mean, the Dreamcast died because of piracy. That had nothing to do with Sony. Think about what Eugene's saying. So in the thought experiment of, I want you to go up to the podium and make the case that Microsoft does good work with their first parties and with their studios. Microsoft has more studios than Sony. Where are the games, bro? Where are the games? I have seen pro Xbox YouTubers, pro Xbox blogs, and news outlets being like, where are the frickin' games, bro? Where are they? You want to talk about like Sony keeps Xbox small? You got more studios than Sony, man. Where are the games? Oh yeah, Flight Sim. I'll give you Flight Sim. Okay. You might be able to make a shaky case. If I'm trying to argue for Microsoft's first parties, you know what I would say? I'd talk about Flight Sim, I'd talk about Forza, and I'd talk about Psychonauts. I'd maybe even be underhanded and smuggle in Deathloop. But I think that's underhanded. Deathloop was not really a Microsoft property. It was developed and launched, and it was literally in contract to land on Sony first. So that's a silly one to cite. High on Life is not a first-party Microsoft title. It did very well on Game Pass, but High on Life is not a first-party. Yeah, Gears. Okay, Gears. Okay, yeah, that's what I would say. I would ignore Deathloop. I would talk about Forza. I would never mention Halo. I would talk about Gears. I'd talk about Flight Sim. That's what I would do. Space Dovahkiin with a $5 tip. Okay, Lono, Xbox had 5 studios before 2018. That's 4 years ago. PlayStation's best games take like 5 to 7 years to make. Are we being fair? Come on. What do you mean they had 5 studios in 2018? They bought studios prior to 4 years ago, did they not? They almost shuttered everything in 2014, and in the years that followed, they primarily focused on their own stuff. And yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. Their best games take 5 to 7 years. Isn't the Sony delivery cycle closer to 4 years right now? 4 to 5? High on Life's not going to Sony. Is High on Life a first-party title? I didn't think it was. It's in Steam. Is High on Life, are they owned by Microsoft? I thought they just paid for the Xbox exclusivity and the Game Pass. It's on Steam. Yeah, that's not a first party. Yeah, I was talking about first-party games, not games being successful on Microsoft. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about first-party. Gorthysis is going to put us on the doorstep of 192 members for the day, gifting 10 members. So generous, Gorthysis. What a member terrain. I'm seeing names I recognize. Double Dev, Matthew, Drummer Mike, Andy Dean, Micah Pearson. I've seen that name. Pete the Greek, I see that name a lot. Joseph Lassiter, and Omen, and Finns, and Scratch Z. That is a lot of gifted members. That's 92 people that should be getting in our Discord. We're inviting you to our members-only Discord, our members-only streams. Tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, a Christmas celebration. My wife and I will be having drinks and playing these hilarious Christmas games. You are not going to want to miss it. Members-only content is worth the price of admission. It's $5 a month. A lot of you just got gifteds. I'd love to see you pick up the membership on your own next month if you can. If you can't, if you're in a spot where that's just not feasible, be here as often as you can. This community is very generous. Gifted members go to people who watch more often. High on Life's not going to Sony. I thought it was a timed exclusive. Is it 100% never coming to Sony? As of right now, not going to PlayStation, but that could always change. I didn't do a lot of research into High on Life, so I don't know if it's a timed exclusive or if it's just never coming to Sony. God of War 2018, Tsushima, and Horizon Zero Dawn had dev time of 7 years, the sequel 5 years. No. God of War's sequel was 4 years. I think Horizons was 5, was it not? It wasn't supposed to be. The Sickie bumped it a year, so you're kind of cheating. Yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn sequel was supposed to land in 2020, bro. So, you're kind of cheating. Everything got bumped by a couple of years because of the Sickie. Moneybag with a $5 tip through Super Chat. High on Life is Microsoft funded and helped make it. It's not going on PlayStation. Microsoft only had 5 studios before 2018 is right. Okay. Okay, I'll add that to the argument. I am arguing right now. I'm trying to enter the mindset of somebody arguing that Microsoft does a great job with their first-party titles. And what would I say? I would say, look at Forza, look at Flight Sim, look at Psychonauts 2. Those are great games. Those are first-party games. And look, Microsoft sees potential and talent, and they bought Deathloop. Deathloop's theirs. Look at how many award nominations Deathloop got. By the way, they haven't owned lots of studios for very long. You gotta let these games start to roll out. The sicky affected timelines, so everything got bumped. You know. Yeah, Hellblade 2, Starfield. The train is about to leave the station. Admittedly, the offerings are thin, but if I was arguing for Microsoft first-party, strength, that's the argument I would make. And if I was in the audience, you know what I would say? That's not a very compelling argument. That's the strongest argument I can make in favor of Microsoft's handling of first-party titles, first-party games. Because remember, I'm making this argument in support of Microsoft buying Activision Blizzard as a gamer. I'm trying to convince the audience this will be good for you as a gamer. Microsoft does a good job with their first-party titles. And I'm telling you right now, the best argument I can come up with, I don't think is that compelling. I don't think it's that compelling. Can't wait to see how Hellblade 2 turns out. I loved the first one, yeah. It's like, I think it's my all-time favorite game. It's typically the one that I go to. That argument is weak when you start running down Sony offerings. Yeah, it does get even weaker when you start to say, how is Microsoft's first-party standing in comparison to other companies' first-party standing? Don't you dare look at Nintendo and PlayStation, because you're going to be like, ugh. You see what I'm saying? I'm not even making it about the comparison, but once you add the comparison, yeah, it starts to look more bleak. I highly doubt Microsoft would change how COD is made. Like, come on. Really? Let me give you a couple of what-fors. Let me give you a couple potential realities, DJ. Okay? Call of Duty in its current state has 11 studios working on it. 11. Microsoft could look at that and say, you got a lot of redundancy here. Close down a couple of these studios, and suddenly Call of Duty is a more lucrative property. Suddenly generates a whole lot more revenue. I have a video coming today about how Warzone is taking more precedence than MW2. No, there isn't. Yes, there is. Homie, this is public knowledge, public news, public announcement. There are 11 studios working on Call of Duty. They won't? That's dumb. Why wouldn't they? See, again, you need to study buyouts and mergers. One of the first things that happens after a buyout and a merger is, let's look for redundancies. Let's shrink cost. Why? It immediately drives valuation up. It immediately drives profit margins up. Hey, we got 11 studios working on Call of Duty. If we close 2 of them, or we divert 2 of them elsewhere, Call of Duty generates more money. Operating cost goes down, profit goes up. They're not going to do that? No, no, no. You're not making an argument. You're just saying, no, they're not going to do that. Make an argument. Why would they not do that? You don't think there's any redundancies in Call of Duty? Look at the quality that you've got with Modern Warfare 2 and Warzone right now and all the problems. You don't think that there's potentially internal problems? You don't think there's maybe redundancies or efficiency problems? You don't think there's maybe too many hands in the cake batter? No, no, no. You're not making an argument. They'll probably let the studios choose what they want to do. So Microsoft's going to buy Activision Blizzard and say, we're going to let the studios decide what they want to do. We just spent $70 billion, but go off, King. Y'all are in charge. The frick? What are you even saying? We just spent $70 billion to let you keep doing what you want to do. We own you now, but we're not going to dictate anything. The amount of money that they spent. Consolidating 11 studios doesn't necessarily mean a bad outcome. I didn't say that it would, Eric. But I was pushing back on they won't disrupt the way Call of Duty is made. It could result in better things, Eric. What I was saying is, yes, they 100% will affect the way these games are made, at least at some level. $10 tip from AOZ. So people saying Microsoft only had 5 studios 2018 is making it sound like every studio they bought had nothing in development. The Xbox game roadmap, the rationale doesn't add up. Yeah, that's an excellently made point. So every studio they bought had nothing in the pipeline, nothing in development? I think the quality of Call of Duty will be the same. I'll do you one better, DJ Steph. I'll argue for your side. I bet you the quality of Call of Duty goes up if Microsoft buys Activision Blizzard, if for one reason and one reason only. They comb over the redundancies and the overwhelming amount of crossover and confusion that's probably happening with the Call of Duty brand. I think 11 studios is too much. I think they've spread Call of Duty so dadgum thin, it's hurting the brand and it's hurting the player funnel. I actually think the quality of Call of Duty will go up under new ownership. I actually think that. That doesn't mean I'm pro merger. That doesn't mean I'm pro merger. But no, it won't. So your argument, DJ Steph, is that Microsoft will buy Activision Blizzard. It will have no impact on the biggest property in the bunch. Outside of King, obviously. The King mobile stuff is huge. So Call of Duty will just remain static. It won't get better. It won't get worse. It'll just stay here. A $69 billion acquisition will have no impact on one of the largest pieces in the acquisition. Why would you think that? It ain't gonna make it better, and it ain't gonna make it worse. It's just gonna stay the same. The odds of that happening, what? No. Almost assuredly it'll change something. At the very least, they'll close down Sledgehammer. Microsoft's the king of confusion. If anything, it'll get worse. Yeah, maybe. Because Microsoft is stupid. Wait, okay. So your incredibly intellectual argument that's just been trotted out in multiple layers of nuance and reason and rationale is that Microsoft is stupid. And because Microsoft is stupid, they're going to spend $69 billion and they're not going to do anything with the properties that they bought. Wait, whose side are you even on? So you think one of the largest companies in the world, Microsoft, is stupid, and you think that they're going to spend $69 billion, the largest acquisition in video game history. They're going to do all that and go, we're stupid. We don't even know what to do. Y'all just keep doing what you're doing. We're just the money man. They're like the third largest company in the world, and you're asserting that they're stupid? Is Zubair shadow banned? I'm surprised I'm not seeing him stroke out listening to this. Turn to an us versus them scenario. That's what I'm saying. I'm not even making it about... I've done my best this entire stream to not make it about Microsoft bad, Sony good. I've done my absolute best to not even invoke Sony in the discussion. Others have. Surprisingly, people that are anti-Sony seem to be secretly obsessed with them because they have to bring up Sony in almost every argument. It's almost like that guy who always brings up his ex-girlfriend. She hurt him. She hurt him real bad, you know? You can't even go to the movies. And he's like, reminds me of that time Cassandra was late and then I had to buy the popcorn. It's just unbelievable. Like, bro, it was 3 years ago. Anyway, I've tried my absolute best to be like, This is about the level of consolidation. This is about the impact, the potential impact it can have on the market, on the property, on the employees, on you, the consumer. This is massive. This is massive. And the strangest thing about this is the people that are in favor of it haven't seemed to think through very much of it. You've done like a surface level, like, oh, that'll be good for me. More games for Game Pass, right? Like, dollars to donuts. A lot of the people that are super, super duper in favor of this, that's as far as they went with their thought process. What's that? $70 billion? They'll get Call of Duty? World of Warcraft? Diablo? Oh my gosh. More games for Game Pass, and then that's it. They've not thought about it beyond that. You made your video with the Sony fanboy group suing Microsoft, and now we're here. It's odd that you're here enough to have a badge next to your name, but you're apparently not smart enough to know what I do. You're locked in here with me. I'm not locked in here with you. You're in my world and my show. This is what I do. I grab something that happened in the gaming news circle, in the gaming news circuit, and then I discuss it with the live audience. Let's say you're right. This is just some Sony fanboy group. Who gives a frick? It's news. Let's talk about it. Your inability to insert yourself into the argument in an intellectual way, you're purely tribalistic and you invoke Sony and make this a Sony versus Microsoft thing. That's your inability to dialogue. That's not on me or my show. Okay? Your lack of skill is not an indictment of my choices or my show quality. DJ Steph with 5 months at a VIP plus. I'm screwing with you, bud. I know it will make an effect on COD. Okay. Yeah, you're here a lot. I was like, what is going on? Sony is sus? Yeah, Sony is sus. They're the imposter. Eugene says, I would be against any of the top 10 players in the industry buying Activision, and I'd be against anyone remotely the size of Microsoft that was outside the industry buying them to break in. Yeah, imagine if this was Amazon, I'd be saying the same thing. That's a question, is it not? Would you still be in support of this if this was going if this was going to Amazon? If Amazon was trying to do this, would you be like, "Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Lono needs one of those shifty Rorschach masks with a fedora hat. Yeah, I've really come to love him. Like when he keeps score, 1-0. 1-0. Come and get me. Do it. I love that guy. I'll whisper no. Why not okay with Amazon? There'd be a lot of reasons to not be okay with Amazon doing it. What's the big deal with Amazon? Well, if Amazon wanted to buy... If Amazon wanted to do this level of acquisition, there'd be a lot of concerns because of the way Amazon has done things with their own storefront and the way they've treated property, right? Like, if you'd be against Amazon having it, but you're okay with Microsoft doing it, that right there just betrays the bias. That betrays the bias. Oh, no. I wouldn't want Amazon to buy Activision Blizzard. Oh, okay. Well, why are you okay with Microsoft doing it? They're both giant companies with tons of money. And it could be very bad for the property and for the consumer. The way this is going, Amazon's waiting for the results, and then they'll go and make the purchase of EA, maybe? I'm not saying Amazon would or could. As a thought experiment, I'm saying, would you be okay with another one of the largest companies in the world just buying up one of the biggest publishers in the world? Like, would you be okay with another company doing it of this size? Microsoft's so big. Yeah, I know that Wheezy's being facetious. I picked it up after a second. I was like, what is happening? The world is upside down. I would. Free market? Oh, come on. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Invoking free market. Invoking free market while simultaneously being okay with massive consolidation and buyout. Free market. Hey, do you what? That's like the antithesis of a free market. Oh my gosh. Oh. I'm wearing a sweater. I can't, dude. That's no, man. That is not a free market. That's a market that can be controlled and manipulated by people with deep pockets. That's not a free market. That's why we have these laws in place. That's why we have regulatory bodies to protect you from the free market no longer being free, but being strangled by massive conglomerates of consolidation. Don't worry, I'm just messing with you, Lono. Lono's going to start thinking we're getting him another TV. Yeah, that's right. Are y'all messing with me? Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Aaron Barker. You can't sell your company. Mike, no one's saying that. That's no. That so you're sort of realigning the argument to be about something else. No one's saying, "Hey, you can't sell your company." That's not no. Like, let's say you have a really, really successful lawn care business, right? And you wanna sell it to some other larger lawn care business. They want to absorb you because you're cutting into their territory. Your rates are better. You're more efficient because you're a smaller operation. You know, they offer you $1 million. And you're like, here you go. You know, and you cash out. No one's saying you can't do that. But companies of this size are attached to more than like a guy. There's not some guy somewhere that's like, this is mine. I own Activision Blizzard. I would like to sell this, and I can't sell it to somebody else. That's not a free market. That's not what's going on. Activision Blizzard is not some company that some guy owns, and he feels like selling it at the flea market, and someone's telling him no. Dope sweater, Merry Christmas. Thank you, Brady. Guys, thank you for a massive, massive day. We just hit 300 likes on the video. So many people here, so many members. Every 25 members, I have to gift 5 members back to say thank you. We're at 92. So 8 more. Keep it going. Keep smashing subscribe. If you guys like this kind of back and forth discussion content, do me a favor. Hit subscribe. It is free to subscribe to this channel and enables you to talk in my chat. Hey, somebody ordered some coffee. Ivor ordered a bag of light roast. Reforge Roast is our coffee. Reforge Gaming, it's our property. No, I'm not going to sell it to anybody. I'm also never going to remove myself from reforgeroast.com. But anyways, so get some of our coffee. We got 3 flavors. The holiday blend's going hot right now. Any member goals currently? Yeah, 2,000 for the watch party barrier. Yeah. 2,000 members, and we'll do Star Wars Episode 2 watch party. We did Star Wars Episode 1 watch party, and you, at any point in time of becoming a member, you can go and watch that and sync it up and watch along. My wife and I's banter will sync up. If you're familiar with Rift Tracks, it's basically the same thing. We are at 1,646 members. So we're about 350 away. That's actually within our reach. 350 members away from hitting 2,000. 5,000 for a live New Year's Eve countdown. Oh my gosh, yeah, you guys want a live New Year's Eve countdown? Yeah, 5,000 members. Yeah, but 2,000, we'll do another watch party. The beauty of that, again, is you can go watch that video. I tell you where to sync up your movie, like Star Wars Episode 1. I tell you where to sync it up, and I tell you when to press play, and we never pause the movie. So, like, you can watch that movie along with that VOD and, like, listen to our commentary. We're going to do the same thing with episode 2 if we hit 2,000 members again. Anytime we hit 2,000 members, I'll do a watch party with you the next month. Happy holidays, everyone. Yo, what's good, Michael? Happy holidays to you. Just seeing how many Sony ponies I could stir up. It's no secret this channel and its viewers are biased for Sony. Is it weird to have no power here? You're aptly named. Dislike button. Like, you are serendipitously named. You have no power here. Sony ponies. Imagine trying to engage with other adults and using phrases like Sony pony. Like, you know what I'm saying? You're like the guy who shows up to the party and you thought it was a costume party and everyone's staring at you like, bro, are you 7? Like, when he say he was upset at Game of the Year? Wait. Somebody said I was upset at Game of the Year? All I know is that Sony didn't win Game of the Year. If that upsets you, that's a problem. Sony didn't win Game of the Year. You know, it's funny. I forgot to cry about that. We were supposed to do a stream called Sony Pony Tears, and I just didn't. I completely forgot to do it because I loved Elden Ring and said that it deserved Game of the Year and that I'd be okay if it won, but I don't know. If false narratives are your thing, I can point you to some purple streamers you can watch. No, a lot of them don't stream anymore. Merry Christmas. What do you need? I need a lunch and a spank. It is too early for lunch. I'm hungry, though. Hey, some coffee went out. It might get there tomorrow. Does anyone really know Microsoft's intent with ABK once it's purchased? We're assuming a lot of things and speculating about what they could do. Does anybody really know their exact intent? I mean, how does it feel to have no power, IRL, little man? How does it feel to have no power, IRL, little man? I'm not sure. You'd have to tell me. I have no answer. I have no answer. I don't know what that's like. Anyway, I've continued to say that I think they're approaching this with a software mentality. They're attempting to say, we've been very successful in the software market, and so let's take the software market and apply the principles to video games. Because I don't think they're all about... That's what's so funny about this. The consolidation here is not about actually consolidating everything under the Microsoft banner. It's about creating revenue streams for the Microsoft gaming division. Does that make sense? Like, the idea being, think of it this way. I think a lot of the people that looked at this purchase, they thought, oh, this is going to be amazing. Suck it, Sony. We're going to have all these games and you're not. And do you want to know one of the reasons that I think a lot of people have become like this about the deal? Like, they get kind of wound up about the deal and they want the deal to go through. Is I still think they're kind of holding out hope that that will happen. And the funny thing is that any recommendations on a reusable K-Cup? We literally have a command, a K-Cup command. They sell them on Amazon. The funny thing is, so for somebody to say that I lean heavily Sony and that I have a Sony bias, that's hilarious because the people that are pro Microsoft getting Activision Blizzard and they're pro doing it because like they want it to hurt Sony, no. You have such little respect and such a narrow, ignorant view of what Microsoft's doing. I actually have a greater respect for what they're doing. I've said before that this is a 900 IQ play. I have been praising the intelligence of the deal. Am I okay with the deal going through? No. But I have had nothing but positive things to say about this is actually a really smart play. So the irony of telling me that, like, I'm anti-Microsoft, it's like, no, you're anti-Microsoft because you're too stupid to see the level of power that this deal could grant them. You think it's all about this is going to help them edge out Sony. Like, your lack of intelligence does not make me a Sony fanboy and anti-Microsoft. If anything, you're not really even a Microsoft fan. You're an anti-Sony fan. At the end of the day, so many people are supporting the Blizzard acquisition because they're an anti-Sony fan. You know what I'm saying? It's not about, oh, I am so in favor of Microsoft. This is going to be good for Microsoft. No, you're an anti-Sony fan. You're hoping it goes through because, like, you think this will hurt Sony. This will help Microsoft beat Sony. And it's like, bro, I'm a bigger Microsoft fan than you because I at least see the level of depth to this deal and what it could do for Microsoft and the intelligence of it. The boldness to walk out into the market and be like, $70 billion, we're buying one of the biggest publishers. That's a bold move. It's a big play. It's a big flex. I actually have a greater appreciation for their plan and their strategy more than you do if you're just all about, like, this is going to help them beat Sony. It's not about that. I've never even made it about that. I've never made it about that. It's not about beating Sony. Now, yes, we did some coverage about Call of Duty and the size and the scope of Call of Duty and why Sony's taking an interest, but that's like one thread of the deal. That's one ripple or impact that could come from it. So when it comes to the Microsoft acquisition of Blizzard Activision, I'm not against it because I'm anti-Microsoft. I'm against it because of the consolidation level that could be bad for the market. I actually want Microsoft to be successful, but this is not the way. Do you see the merger as pushing competition versus stifling it any way? I don't see how it's pushing competition at all. I really don't see how it's pushing competition. It seems like it could potentially stifle competition. It would just give them too much control. The real player to watch for is Sega. They sit on the sidelines waiting for Microsoft and Sony to eat themselves, and they swoop in and take over the industry. That will never happen. Nothing about it is competition. You're buying your way to the top. Yeah, buying market power is not competing. It isn't. It's antithetical to competition to consolidate massive portions of the market. That's antithetical to competition. That's not how it works. I'll give you an example in my own life. So I was assistant coach for my daughter's soccer team, and it was a pickup league where, you know, basically random kids get thrown together and they end up on teams, and then they sort of play a season, and then there's a playoffs at the end, and then a final championship game. And the girls on my team, none of them knew each other except for like 3. They were like friends in real life, but they had never played soccer together. And so me and this Irish guy, we were coaching. He's actually from Ireland, knows a lot about soccer. He's head coach, I'm assistant coach. And so we lose our first 3 games, but the girls really get better and better and better. Our third game was against the best team in the league, and our girls sort of rose to the occasion, and it was almost as if that game kind of cut them from stone and made them play better. After that game, we lost our first 3. We won every game up until the final game. And guess who we had to play in the final game? We had to play that team again, that best team in the league. And they ran over us. They were very, very good. They were anomalously good compared to the rest of the teams in the league. Now, we found out after the fact that it was a pre-made team, that they played in other leagues together. They had played in multiple leagues, and they all basically banded together to come to this pickup league. Okay. Now, there had been teams that had done this in the past and had been told they couldn't do it. So this is probably the last year they're going to get away with it. But that's completely antithetical to the competitive spirit of a pickup league. If you take a pre-made experienced team and you go to a pickup league and you win, no one's impressed. No one's impressed. Like, of course you won. Like, basically my team was the best team in the league. This was just some pre-made team that's antithetical to the competition. So, when you enter a competitive market and you say, we're struggling to do well in this competitive market, let's buy up big players in the market so that way we can have a standing. So that's the issue. Like, that's antithetical to competition. Like, imagine if I'm trying to think of a company that's not in a market suddenly wanting to be in a market. Like Amazon is huge, right? Amazon has tons of money. Amazon's trying to break into the gaming market. So it's a very, very well-functioning analogy. If Amazon suddenly came to the gaming market and said, we want to buy Activision Blizzard, I would have the same attitude. I'd be like, well, okay, but that's really risky to consolidate that level of property, that level of intellectual property and market share under one company. They're just sort of buying their way in. And Amazon's not exactly known for being this benevolent, super awesome company. They're known for being ruthless. So at that point, you have to wonder, why is Microsoft any different? Do you think Microsoft is beholden to some righteous ideology, or are they beholden to the almighty dollar like every other company of that size? There's a difference between funding and developing relationships with companies over years and years and buying them up one at a time versus the third largest company in the world buying the largest third-party publisher in the world. Have to disagree. You can only compete if you do it originally. No, nobody's saying that, K-Billy, because nobody got upset at Microsoft buying Bethesda. No one was like, oh my gosh, that level of consolidation. Oh no. No, nobody has said that. Lono should do a Nintendo is scum stream, bring chat together. No, I don't feel like having them take down one of my streams, dude. I don't really like covering Nintendo games for that reason. And they don't mind getting out the bat and swinging it at your channel. We typically don't do lots of Nintendo coverage here because of that. They have abused the systems on YouTube many times, and I don't feel like dancing with them. They don't like your coverage. They don't want you covering their game. You said something they don't like. Well, your video disappears and maybe your channel too. I don't really dance with the devil in the pale moonlight. I don't do that. Sony got to where they are by buying studios too. This topic is a nothing burger. Then why the frick are you here? That's why I was in agreement with them buying Bethesda. They had the strongest relationship with Xbox. Microsoft brought them to the console market. I don't have a problem with buying up studios. I do not have a problem with buying up studios. That's not an issue. Like, you want to buy up studios and invest in those studios and invest in those properties. That's totally fine. I like watching you rage. That's why I'm here. I like banning members so that I don't have to listen to their inane stupidity anymore. I like people seeing that I'll draw a line in the sand even if you have a badge. So, bye. Yeah, Activision isn't a studio. They're a publisher. Activision Blizzard is a publisher. Has this been happening before? Buying entire publishers? Or have they bought studios and invested in those studios? Like, that's the conflation. Like, that's not an equivalency. That's called a false equivalency. To be like, what's the big deal? Why can't we buy studios? And it's like, because they're not buying a studio. They're buying a conglomerate of studios under one publisher's heading. Yeah, Sony buying a studio is like Activision buying a studio. Studio is nothing compared to a 9,000 employee publisher. Right. Bethesda ZeniMax was also publisher-developer, but not at this level. Okay, no, that's true. That's a well-made point. That's a fair point. But right, there's a big difference between ZeniMax and Activision Blizzard. For sure. Right. You know, how much property does Bandai Namco have, right? You know, buying Bandai Namco. What if Sony bought Bandai? I don't know how many. I don't know how many they have. I don't know how many properties they have. What's a publisher, you know, akin to the size of ZeniMax? There's a $62 billion difference. Bethesda's a publisher. Bungie's a publisher. No. Bethesda's not a publisher. Bethesda's publisher is ZeniMax, is it not? Bethesda's weird because they have it broken up into like Bethesda Softworks, Bethesda Game Studios. Like, isn't Bethesda underneath the ZeniMax publisher banner, or was? Bandai Namco doesn't make games, though. It would be like buying Sony. You mean like buying up Blizzard Activision? Because Blizzard Activision doesn't make games. They own game studios. You're right. You're so close. You're right there. You're real close. That's the point. They bought ZeniMax, but obviously everyone knows it was Bethesda. Right. Bandai Namco is a publisher, just like Activision is a publisher. They're this giant, you know, umbrella that owns all these studios underneath of it. Over 30 years, Sony has internally developed and purchased a total of 22 or 23 studios. Since 2018, Microsoft grew from 5 to 23 or 34 studios, and now they want to buy another 15, maybe more, plus the largest publisher. Y'all nuts thinking this is the same. Right. Why? I don't understand the slashes there. Why did you say 23 or 34? 23 out of 34. I'm not sure what you're saying. I know you don't want to make this Microsoft Sony, but it's hard to take this argument of the discussion. Oh, can we get back to the core issue people have against the deal? It sounds like it is that the consumer will be hurt. How am I hurt by this as a Sony player? You could be potentially hurt by this as a Sony player because property stops coming to Sony. You could be potentially hurt by this as a Sony player because Microsoft raises the prices of their property on the Sony platform in the future. You could be potentially hurt by this as a Sony player because Microsoft wants to consolidate everything under a subscription model, and if Sony doesn't put it on their subscription model, then they're not going to let them have it. Like, as a Sony player, you're not like immune of market impact. People don't understand how market consolidation works. Yeah, like, historically speaking, market consolidation's not good for, it's not good for the consumer. I'll give you a great example. I'll give you a great example that's pretty relatable. So, over the past 10 or 15 years, there has been a huge consolidation of cable companies. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. And we had a local cable provider, and they were called Insight. And they were great. They actually owned the trucks that came to your home. They were very quick at tech response. They were investing in the infrastructure of the city. And when you called and talked to somebody, you got somebody local, and their prices were actually quite good. They got bought by a bigger company. And then that company got bought by a bigger company. And then that company got bought by a bigger company. And now, I don't even know who the frick I'm paying. What, Spectrum, I think? Now, all that consolidation, what did it do for me as the consumer? What did it do for me? Prices went up. Infrastructure's gone nowhere. And when I call and need help, I call somebody that doesn't even live in the state, let alone maybe even the country, and they roll a truck or a tech that's outsourced to some other company, some local contractor. So that market consolidation has done nothing but stall infrastructure from moving forward, raise prices, and lower quality of service to the consumer. Do you still think it's okay for Microsoft to just scoop up Blizzard Activision? I don't see a lot of evidence historically of this level of consolidation benefiting the consumer. I don't see evidence of that. I see evidence of the contrary. 15 years ago, I had access to 5 or 6 ISPs. Now, after all the consolidation, I have access to 2. It's great. Trust me, I love it. This does raise an interesting question about what happens to Activision after the purchase. Does Microsoft need a publisher? Not really. The assets are far more valuable than the company itself. Like what, just dissolve Activision? Yeah, probably. How about all that money we've saved by AT&T's rise to power? Yeah. Let me give you another example. As an employee, I got hired by a company called AT&T Wireless, and then a week later it was Singular. And Singular was great. Amazing incentives, lots of great treatment to the employee, parties, like, spiffs or whatever they called them. And so working for Singular was great because it was small and scrappy, and they were really taking care of their employees well. Then, 3 years into my 6 years with the company, they got bought by AT&T. The big daddy AT&T, not AT&T Wireless. AT&T Wireless was like a small little division that Singular bought. No, not Spliff. It was like Spiffs. I think they called them Spiffs, not Spliffs. We weren't smoking. So Singular, 3 years in, gets bought by big daddy AT&T. And the last 3 years I worked for that company was the worst job that I have ever had, and I worked in a glue factory. The worst job I ever had was working for AT&T. Corporately minded, raising my responsibilities, increasing what I had to do, all while paying me less, and raising the prices on the consumer. So that consolidation didn't help me as the employee. It made things worse. I made less money. I was unhappy, and I quit. Many people quit. They had record churn of employees to the point that they had to completely reevaluate and change the way that they managed their employees. They wouldn't keep people. They couldn't keep people. I remember working for AT&T, and I remember my assistant manager saying, he said, "Well, that's a first." I said, "What?" He said, "I've never offered somebody a job and had them turn it down." He said, "By the time you get to the job offer," he's like, "they always accept the job." He said, "Maybe once there was somebody that said, 'Hey, I've already accepted another position.'" He said, "I've never had anybody turn the job down for what they just told me." I said, "What'd they tell you?" They said, "I can't handle that stress." Because he took him in the back room and he showed him the dry erase board, and it was literally the size of a dry erase board in like a classroom, and there was, 25 metrics that you had to hit. You had to have this attach rate, this home service, that thing, all the way across. And this was somebody, he said, she interviewed well, she was sharp, she was intelligent, she had a sales background, and she said, "No thank you, I don't want to work for your frickin' company." And he was like, "I've never had this experience in my life." Why do you think that happened? I'll tell you why it happened. Some big company came in, scooped up Singular, and turned us all into drones to just drive revenue, drive money. And we all quit. Now, what do you think that did for the consumer that came to that store? What do you think the consumer's experience was going to that store and all the employees they were familiar with are gone? They're all new hires. They're all people that are just trying to make a buck. They're all people that are just trying to drive their metrics. What do you think that does to the consumer experience? You think it makes it better? So, we've got examples of consolidation in the cell phone industry and the internet service provider industry, and now you've got a potential massive level of consolidation in the video game world, and people are like, this is great because I'm pro Xbox. You're not paying attention to the history of this level of consolidation if you think this is just automatically better for you. That kind of business is the last place I would want to work. Yeah. I remember meeting her. She was awesome. I thought, oh, she's going to kill it here. She just had that energy, you know? She just had like that youthful, super polite, super sweet energy. And I was like, oh, she'll crush it. She'll be able to sell the dickens out of these cell phones. She didn't want the job. She didn't want the job. I remember I went to Charter Communications before they got bought out. And I had to hit 3 metrics, and I was like, that's all I have to hit? And there were people there like, yeah, it's kind of annoying. We have to hit these 3 metrics. I was like, I just came from a company that had like 15 things I had to hit monthly. Cheaper, better alternatives have come up. You're making a bad point. Cheaper, better alternatives have come up for internet service. Name one. Cheaper, better cell phone opportunities have come up. Name one. You can name cheaper cell phone opportunities, but they're not better. They're not better. Yeah, name one. Right now, I can get internet in my house that's cheaper and better than what I have. So, I have AT&T and Spectrum in my home. I can go get cheaper, better internet? Where? Is there some mountain I have to climb and there's an old man up there and he's like, oh, you have now ascended to the wisdom of ISP availability. There is no other internet. Simple mobile cricket. He said mobile cricket and Mint. Your Honor, I rest my case. No further argumentation from me. My man said cricket and Mint. Guys, it's totally fine. It's totally fine if these companies consolidate. We have cricket and we have Mint. Yeah, you don't have to go with Verizon or AT&T, guys. We have Cricket and Mint. I've had the big 3 phone services in... I haven't had the big 3 phone services in years. They're subsidiaries of Verizon and AT&T. Yeah, Cricket's an AT&T company. Cricket might meet someone's needs, but that doesn't necessarily make them better. Just better for some people's situations. Right, of course. Better is subjective, is it not? Like, I can get cheaper internet in my home right now. I could lower all my plans. But that doesn't make the service better. I'm dying. This is too good. Yeah, you're still paying the 3 big companies, by the way. If I didn't, I'd be back at Verizon. Mike, you understand what you're arguing. You're saying consolidation is good. Why? Oh, because I went to these other smaller companies instead of going to the big companies. You're still giving the big companies your money. They've literally manipulated the market, and you're in the water being boiled as a frog right now. They are controlling the market. Cricket, these other companies, they're subsidiaries of the big mobile companies. They're controlling the market, and you're buying in. You're buying into the illusion of options. Why? Because we let consolidation happen. And that consolidation has led to you either pick the big guy or the other big guy. But these little guys exist. They're owned by them, man. Of course they made those small subsidiaries. You want to know why? Because there's a demographic of people that will never pay the big dogs. They can't afford to. Like the pay-as-you-go and the prepaid, that exists not because those companies are nice and they like you. They exist because there's a portion of the market that needs that flexibility. They're cash, man. They're cash as they go. They are check to check. Wheezy already said it. Yeah. Wheezy's already pointed that out more than likely. He's a sharp guy. They've literally made those subsidiaries and those companies because they know there are people. There's a demographic. There's an economic reality in the populace of like, these people cannot afford our plans, but we want to make money from them. They're using the Towers brothers. I swear it's like people mute the stream when they start to hear things that don't jive with their view. They're using the towers that those companies built. They own the towers and they own the company that you're giving money to. I want you to imagine that a new, let's say a new TV show and movie subscription service comes up, and it's cheaper, and it's called Rainforest. Bro, you don't got to give money to Disney or Netflix or Hulu or Amazon. Pff, Rainforest is where it's at. It's cheaper. Rainforest is owned by Amazon. Yeah, but I've got options. I made that up, by the way. Rainforest isn't a company. That's what you're saying. You're giving money to the big companies. They have literally manipulated and fostered and groomed and curated a market for themselves. It's theirs. You don't have options. You are literally choosing an AT&T plan. You just don't realize it. If you're giving money to Cricket, you might as well just walk into an AT&T store and give them money, because that's what you're doing. But what they've done is they've given you the illusion of like, I'm saving money. I'm not giving money to the big guy. Those guys kept raising their prices. This is more affordable. Like, this is quite literally an example of what consolidation can do to a market. You give one or two companies tons of control and you think you're benefiting. Why? Because they do a really, really bang-up job tricking you into thinking that like, oh, I've got options. I have Cricket. They create smaller companies to avoid getting too big, or to give people the illusion of choice so it doesn't look like they're the only thing in the market. It makes it seem as though there's lots of companies in the market when there's not. You know what a ghost kitchen is? It's a restaurant on a food ordering app that is just a name. It uses other locations like Red Robin and Chili's to cook the food and ship it out in others' packaging. Mr. Beast does this? Oh, are his burgers not made by his company? I didn't know that. Yeah, wait till he finds out what TV networks he prefers. Consolidation. That's good. Chat. Are we really gonna let that 8? Come on. Somebody nudge it. You know that meme? Do something. Somebody nudge it. People still watch TV. That's what Beast Burgers are. Mr. Beast does that. Mine is made at Buca de Beppo. Oh. He doesn't have any physical locations. They just use other restaurants and kitchens to cook them. That is incredibly interesting. That is so interesting. I didn't know that. I'd never looked into it. I love Mr. Beast. I do. I would love to hug Jimmy just once and just say, man, thanks for all you do. But I didn't know that about his burgers. I mean, props to him. That guy's a mover and a shaker. He is a mover and a shaker. So an argument for this merger is that the cost of a game dev is going up, and it might be necessary to have a company that can pay that upfront cost of game dev. Thoughts? Hang on. I've got to reread this. I also shake when I move. So an argument for this merger is that the cost of a game dev is going up, and it might be necessary to have a company that can pay the upfront cost. Oh, so you're in support of it. You're saying game dev costs have gone up, therefore this is good. It will help. This will help with dev costs. I don't think that that's a very compelling argument in favor of this. Eugene says, Mint has no infrastructure of its own. It's at the mercy of T-Mobile, and you think that they're the example of options within the cellular space. There's tons of meta restaurants on DoorDash now. They just operate out of one of the restaurants and kitchens. Huh. That's extremely interesting. I did not know that was a thing. I did not know that was a thing. I knew he didn't have physical locations. I knew that. But I didn't know that that's how they were doing it. Yo, it's good, Lone Wolf. It blew my mind when I figured that out. Whatever happened to mesh cell networks? No idea. My beast location is Red Robin, and it hits. Why is that not a compelling argument? Because you're basically saying these companies are vulnerable, let's let a big company buy them. That's not a very compelling argument. Okay. Let's use restaurants. Restaurants are notorious for having razor-thin margins, and it's probably one of the most... it's one of the riskiest businesses to get in. Which is why everything you're saying makes sense of why Mr. Beast got in, because he got in at a low risk. He's not building infrastructure. He's not having to abide by health code laws. The restaurants that he's using are, right? So if you had a company come to a town and they said, here's these 4 beloved, privately owned restaurants. And hey, we know that the cost of business is high and, you know, it's really risky. We want to buy all of you. That's not a compelling argument to suddenly have all of those restaurants owned by some big giant company. Like, that would be a worry, would it not? You'd be like, wait a minute, we don't want some big company to own all these restaurants. Well, they're benevolent. You know, the cost of development's high, so Microsoft's going to help. Where do you think the money's going to come from, Benjamin, to keep this machine running? Let's take your thought experiment a little bit further, Benjamin. Let's take it further. And let's say, no, yeah, that's a compelling reason. It's really expensive to make video games now, so let's let Microsoft's deep pockets ensure that these companies can keep making games. Do you suddenly think that Microsoft is a charity? Or are they beholden to shareholders and profit margins? Is their fiduciary duty somehow no longer applicable to the business model of what they own? They no longer have to generate higher margins of profit every year, raising share value? They don't have to do that? Where's the money coming from? Where's the money coming from? Oh, yeah, this is really going to help these companies, man. It's so expensive to make video games. Okay, we'll grant that point. Where's the money coming from to keep funding it? Where? It comes from Microsoft. They take a cut. Long term, it could be a great strat. No. You haven't answered where the money's going to come from. So Microsoft funds it. And they take a cut. Currently, you have to go back to your original premise, Benjamin. Your original premise is that this is okay or this is good because cost of development is high. Cost of development's not going down just because Microsoft owns Activision Blizzard. So if what you're saying is supposed to be a compelling reason to push the gears forward and push this purchase through, where is the money coming from to keep it going? Because again, your premise is the cost of development is high. That's a constant, is it not? That's not changing. Cost of development's high. So that means Microsoft's dumping the money in it. Do you think they do that without wanting profit? Sergio gets it. Sergio, Carlin warned us of this years ago. We used to have 8 oil companies, now we have 2 or 3, but they keep the old names to give the illusion of options. Yeah, I remember that. Butter says, with more and more consoles and PCs being sold, there are even more need for big billion-dollar companies to come in and help with the money. Yeah. Kappa. I'm saying it helps the studio with that upfront cost, and then later when the game is released, the cost is recouped. So you think every game recoups its costs. Do you think that's all that matters to Microsoft? It's just an argument. I can see it the other way. I enjoy the argument. I enjoy playing it out, teasing it out. That's why I didn't find it compelling. Because Microsoft's not interested in recouping costs. They're interested in profit. Hey, man, $68 billion purchase. We can start investing in these companies and funding their projects. Great. How many of those projects generated profit? Oh, they just recouped costs. What? That means we didn't get a very good deal here. Have you ever watched Shark Tank? You know what those venture capitalists are doing when they're jotting in their notebooks? They're assessing risk and potential profit because that's all that matters to them. Go before the sharks on Shark Tank and say, I am seeking $500,000 of additional funding for a 10% stake in my company, and we anticipate with this money we'll be able to break even and recoup our costs. They would say, I'm out. It'd be the fastest multi-shark back out in the history of the show. How much profit can we make? If I'm going to give you $500,000, then I want that $500,000 to turn into $1 million or more. Like, Microsoft's not like, oh man, dude, it's so expensive to make games. Let's fund these projects so we can recoup our costs. That's not a business mindset at all at this level. I would think that some would make money, some would recoup cost. I mean, that is what they are taking as the shotgun approach to buy lots of studios. One will be a gold mine. Oh, you're so close to why this is scary, Benjamin. You're right there. All you got to do is go around the corner. Keep going. Some will make money, some will recoup costs. One will be a gold mine. Just how many studios do you think they're going to keep open that are simply recouping costs or have razor-thin margins? Don't you think shutting down those studios would be better? Because suddenly operating costs goes down? Operating costs goes down, risk goes down, profit potentially goes up. If you're just recouping costs, you're worthless to us. Off with their head. Again, Lono, I get the other side. No, I appreciate the back and forth, Benjamin. I do. I appreciate the back and forth. I think this has been one of our best, probably one of our best discussion days, like really showcasing to all the new members, to all the new subscribers, like what we do here. Like, we debate, we play devil's advocate, we are respectful in our discussions and our discourse. So I know I appreciate it. Why do you think Microsoft switched Office over to subscription service? To make more money. That's right. They don't want the consumer to be able to buy Office and be done with it. Yeah, look at the way Adobe and Microsoft have treated software. And if I'm telling you right now, I can say these two things, and I'm not talking out of both sides of my mouth. Microsoft is going to apply the software model to video games. They want video games everywhere, generating revenue and generating profit for them. The second thing I'm going to say, that's scary in light of how Adobe and Microsoft have treated software up to now. That's scary. That is potentially bad for the consumer. You think maybe it'll end up like Hollywood, where we're getting the same kind of cookie cutter stuff year after year? I think entertainment is cyclical. I think entertainment's cyclical because I think what happens is that right now they're dialing in what's safe and will generate money, and eventually I think the dam breaks. I think the levee breaks. Led Zeppelin when the levee breaks. I think eventually people start to say, this is boring, I'm sick of this, I'm sick of the remakes, I'm sick of the rehashes, right? And so when that happens, I think you'll see a cyclical resurgence of new movies, new properties, new shows. Like, I think that happens in gaming. I actually think we're on the cusp of that in gaming. I think we're going to like trudge through the desert of lack of releases, lots of remakes, remasters, disappointing titles, and I think we'll come out on the other end of that, and then there'll be a boom of really, really high quality games, revolutionary games, etc. I think that is coming. Breaking even is the equivalent of losing money as a business. Yeah, because what are you doing at that point? You're just keeping the lights on. That's not what your purpose is. The purpose of a business is to not stay open. The purpose of a business is to generate profit. We're having chicken at the office today. It's Popeyes versus Chick-fil-A. That's a battle of the century. Yeah, can I phone a friend? That would be an amazing... That is a Chappelle Show skit. Welcome back to Who Wants to Order Office Lunch. Here we have Dave. He used to be a substitute teacher, and now he runs the mail office downtown for the circuit court. And today, we're choosing between Chick-fil-A and Popeyes. You have a couple of choices on how to make this decision. You can call Mama. You can call a black friend, or you can just pick. He'd be like sweating, and like the staff is in the audience watching, just getting angry about what he might choose. I don't know. Chick-fil-A, really good. But Popeye, this is a really hard decision. I'd like to call a black friend. Oh, you could go the distance with that, right? His friend doesn't answer the phone. Oh, there's a lot there, man. There's a lot there. Churches? Yeah. All right. In a surprise bonus round, now someone has suggested Raising Cane's and Churches. And he's just, sweat's just pouring down. Can't do it. He can't decide. Churches and Popeyes are tied for number one. We have a local place, Indies, that's really good. Downtown. Everybody working there is behind bulletproof glass, and you have to speak into a microphone. I'm not kidding. And they have grape Kool-Aid on tap. And the chicken and the JoJo's are absolute fire. The chicken and the JoJo's are absolute fire, bro. It's everything. It's everything when you go there. It is an experience. It is an experience. The mom and pop chicken places are the best. Yeah, local. It's locally owned. It's, oh man, it's amazing. Some of the best chicken in JoJo's you can get. So good. Zaxby's better than Cane's? What? I don't know if I've ever heard that. I don't know if I've ever heard anybody put Zaxby's at the top. Kool-Aid on tap? Yeah. 100%. Grape Kool-Aid on tap. Like you go up to the machine. Mm-hmm. Yep. Lono, what do you know about the 2023 Microsoft looking into buying Netflix? Like, to see if you heard anything? I have not heard about Microsoft buying Netflix. I've not heard that, no. It actually makes sense, though. It makes sense, because if you think about it, like Sony was testing a subscription service thing in, where was that? Was that France or somewhere, or Italy? I forget where they were testing that. They were having a test of a subscription model where you could like watch their movies and TV shows and stuff in the property that they own. So it wouldn't surprise me if Microsoft did that. I don't know if they are. I've not seen anything, but if it happened, it wouldn't surprise me, because they could fold Netflix into their model of you pay this subscription service and you get all this stuff. You get shows, movies, video games. You know what I mean? Makes sense. And Sony bought Crunchyroll. Yeah, Sony's trying to build that out, and they're testing it. They're testing it in a couple of markets. Yeah. Netflix would instantly become profitable because they wouldn't have to pay Amazon to host content. Yeah, that could work really, really well, because you could start hosting everything on Microsoft servers and the cloud and Azure and all that. Right? They no longer have to use AWS. Well, Microsoft probably uses AWS, does it not? Does Microsoft have their own infrastructure? Oh, they got Funimation too? Yeah, I think Sony's gearing up. Sony's gearing up to have an all-encompassing package plan of like, you sign up for PS Plus and you get like all of that stuff. Yeah. Why wouldn't they use Azure? Microsoft has their own infrastructure. Yeah, they would just use Azure. That's what I said. I was like, I think they would just use Azure. So yeah, they could 100% buy up Netflix, move everything to their own data centers and infrastructure in Azure, and no longer need to pay Amazon, which could, that could be very good. And they could fold it into the Game Pass subscription. They would probably call it something like the Family Entertainment Package, or the Family Entertainment Pass, or something. I don't know. The ultimate entertainment package or pass or something. I don't know. Crunchy and Funimation are under Bandai. Oh, he was saying Sony. Oh, but Sony. Wait, does Sony actually own Bandai? I thought Sony owned a major portion, but not. They don't actually own Bandai. I thought they owned a percentage. Aren't they like 51% shareholder or something of Bandai? I don't think Sony owns Bandai. Crunchy Funimation are under Sony? Sony has shares in Bandai but does not own it. Yeah, I thought they recently increased their share of Bandai to protect them from being purchased or something. Like, didn't Sony and Tencent recently increase how much of Bandai they own, like protecting them from a buyout? I thought they did something like that. Netflix is valued at $190 billion, and Microsoft may acquire them next year. You should Google how to pronounce Azure. I know this is hard to believe, but you're saying it wrong. How do you pronounce that? Azure? It literally looks like Azure. Oh, Azure? Like a cure? Azure. Oh my god. Azure. I secretly hate Zubair.
Azure.
Azure. Azure. Stupid. stupid words and letters not making sense. How are you going to spell the word? Azure. Oh, kind of like a cure. Okay, how are you going to pronounce it? Azure. Okay. That was From Software. Oh, yeah, well, wait, but From's owned by Bandai. Right? Or does Bandai just publish their games? Foliage. Yeah, Foliage. I'm going to put out my own channel called How to Pronounce Words by Lono. Foliage. Foliage. Suck it, Zubair. Foliage. I'm just going to pick a bunch of random words and just say them how I want. Azure. Azure. And as I do it, just slowly a middle finger comes up. You mean Lono? Yeah. Unmitigatable. Anti-disestablishmentarianism. Did you think I was going to trip on that one? From is owned by Katakawa Corporation. Oh, From's owned by Katakawa. Your channel should be called Mildly Infuriating News. You read world news and you randomly pronounce things wrong. In a recent report, Microsoft is being sued by gamers, apparently siding with a Swedish state-run pension for the funding and holding of Activision. Apparently, the CEO, was embroiled in a controversy dealing with harassment and problematic behavior. The only thing that triggers me is when Lono spells out ETC rather than saying etc. I thought I was the only one. ETC. The chat would be gold. Harassment. You're harassing me. If I see any harassment in the comment section about how I pronounce English words, I will ban you. Edinburgh? Love you, Lono. This is why I lurk. Don't forget Nish. Ray Home. That's right. Schematics get me? The word schematics? That word gets you? How do you say that one? Schematics? Schematics! Oh. MW, paid content, not the priority. I was actually going to suggest that you started using color in the words above the yellow. I think that's really good, Creature. That's really good. I was going to suggest that. Vineyard. No, this guy's got great info, but he just can't pronounce words. We could do over enunciated gaming, but Rick. Oh, don't be mean to him. I mean, I have zero respect for him, but there's no reason to be mean to him. Everybody always made fun of his content. It's like 10-minute intro to get to 30 seconds of information. Gotta get that ad revenue, baby. The wrong emphasis. Yeah, the wrong syllable. Did any of the anti-Amazon buying Activision people articulate their reasons why? No. I didn't see it. No, Worcestershire. Yep. Worcestershire. Let's schedule a stream. Let me get a... Can you whip up a Thursday Throwdown stream with Vampire Survivors on it? Worcester's Worcester? Is it? All right, hang on. I gotta buy Vampire Survivors. I don't have it right now. Can you play Vampire Survivors with a controller? Full controller support. Let's frickin' go. I'll buy the DLC too. Wait, I'll buy the original soundtrack bundle. No, I'll just buy it with the DLC. We say Worcester. Gotta go to Worcester. Where'd you park your car? Park the car in Harvard Yard. My khakis and my khakis are in my khakis. There you go. Worcester's a niche seasoning. There was a really funny. It is really funny. It was on the other site, the short video site, and the guy was like making some chicken. Yo, Kyle M jumps in. He says, before we end this stream, we gotta hit 100. He takes us to 93, putting us 7 away. Brand new member, and he did a member plus. That's my man. Welcome in, Kyle. And he's cooking chicken. He's like, who all's coming over? And he's like, he names a bunch of people, Frank, Dave, Steve, and I forget the name he uses. Oh yeah, and Demetrius. He's like, wait, what? Like, why? Is that gonna be a problem? Do we not have enough chicken? He's like, no, it should be fine. And then he looks at his spice cabinet, and there's just salt in there. And he gets sad. You can like hear the chicken like popping. No, it should be fine. He gets sad. All he has is salt. I thought it was so funny. So well done. Oh, is it going to be a problem? We don't have enough chicken? No, it should be fine. Only salt, Abe. That's right. No Tabasco. No seasonings. No, what's the other one? Oh, I love this. My wife makes this lo mein, and she puts this in it, makes it spicy. Sriracha. No sriracha, no Tabasco. No, who cooks with just salt? White folks. Yeah, get a little garlic salt. That's the way. The two flavors that I absolutely love to add to chicken, the two flavors that are like the ones I like to go to the most is lime, garlic, and sriracha. Those are like the three I like the most. I love the smell of lime. Hold on now. I use pepper too, says Sven. Use sambal instead of sriracha? I've never heard of sambal. Truffle salt and truffle oil are game changers. The only different kind of salt I've gotten before is you get kosher salt for when you're doing a steak, when you're doing like especially a reverse sear steak. Exactly why I married a lovely lady from Honduras. Seasoning for days. Yeah, Ganks is eating good. Gang's eating good. Oh. Ground fresh chili paste. Hui Fong Foods. Hui Fong. Is that Japanese or Korean? That's not Korean. That looks Japanese. The symbols, at least. Lime on food is an abomination. Oh, is it Chinese? Thai or Vietnamese? I struggle really, really hard differentiating between... No, those are probably Chinese symbols and not Japanese symbols, now that I look at them. Oh, Vietnamese. I always struggle with that when I look at, like, the symbols. I know you're, people. You need to try this. Pie mayonnaise. Yeah, egg. Can't have that in the house. That's got to have egg in it, Wheeze. Guaranteed. Mayo, after all. Japanese mayo is incredible. Is it, like, spicy? It looks like it would be spicy. You're bad. Oh, you're fine, Wheeze. You're fine. We usually get the egg-free stuff. All right. I'm going to schedule a throwdown, a Thursday throwdown. If you guys want to hit 100 members before we get there, we only need 7 more. We could bring 7 more people with us to the members-only stream. Don't forget that tomorrow night there's a Friday night stream. Let me schedule this. I'm going to pull the last Thursday stream. Reuse. What the heck did I touch? Thirsty Thursday throwdown? No, I'm not drinking in the middle of the day. We use Thursday Throwdown as a time to just chill. I'll eat my lunch, but I'll also check out this Vampire Survivors game. But it is members only. It is members only. All right. We'll schedule it for that. Day drinking is good for the soul. Oh, there it is. Thank you, creature. I'll edit the thumb. This, what did you name this? The Sweet Taste of Surrender? Why did you name the thumbnail The Sweet Taste of Surrender? Was that a Vampire Survivor thing? I'm fascinated to see how you react to this game. All right. Okay. Yeah, I do. Give me a second. I gotta set up redirect before I forget. People have been telling you for weeks to play this game, and you fought the good fight, but in the end, I didn't fight the good fight. I didn't say no. I like games like this in small doses. Like that Brotato game was really fun. I didn't fight people on it. Yes. That's fine. I gotta take a quick break before we go to the next thing. Guys, now is a great time to gift members because a lot of people have left, but the loyalists are still here. Let's go for a big banner day of 100. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. We're going to switch to Thursday Throwdown for members. Hey, a $5 tip from Detective C's. Love the Christmas sweater. Do they make adult sizes or just youth? I'm not sure. Before you give the credit card back to your mom, tell her that the fruitcake's terrible, and if she's gonna let you order one, make sure that you get extra large. Let's go to the next stream. Hang on, share. Okay. Public. Channel members. That was horrible. Like, short jokes aren't the cheapest, like, lamest jokes in existence that take zero effort and thought. Here we go. I'm never even bothered by them. I'm more annoyed by them as a fan of comedy. Like, my son tells funnier jokes about farts. Alright. Announcement. Okay. Alright, if you guys don't want to ride the redirect, you can use that link in chat. What's going on with Thursday Throwdown? Did we come from a dead stop last time? It's not... There we go. I had to refresh it and turn off auto start. Yay, we get to leave a chat where everyone's making short jokes. Hey, thanks for clicking on this. This is a weekly segment we call Thursday Throwdown that you get access to as a member. You may be one of the new members this week. We kind of went a little crazy, hitting really good numbers. You can always pick up your own membership for $5 a month. If you can't afford that, just watch as many of my streams as possible. That way, when people gift, you're more likely to get one. We're going to be checking out Vampire Survivors today. Thursday Throwdown's an opportunity for me. I obviously take a break and eat my lunch, but I do try out games and try different things, and we'll be trying that one out. So we might look at some other games as well. There were some other games recommended recently to me in an email that are like, I guess, similar to this. So I'm going to end the previous stream about Xbox being sued by gamers